Dorman's been AFK, but the Floormen have been all over our grand finals. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the night shift. We got ZP's favorite team about to play his second favorite team out of three favorite teams. ZP, which of your favorite teams are you more excited to watch tonight?
Honestly, I'm a big fan of streaks beginning, and even though I really like what FPS Lounge is able to put together and, quite frankly, dominating melee creeps in the challenging match, for Floormen, I'd love to see them start a new streak here and, get things rolling. I think, Floormen have finally run across a mix that has worked for them, and, I mean, truthfully, the way both these teams have been playing, I could easily see this one going to 3.
Jake, we went international with our recruiting here. Dimov, the Bulgarian, joining Zeno, DMB, League, Rocker, and AVG. How is North America so good that you get Dimov to leave the best teams in Europe to come play for you?
This is honestly the huge pickup. This is like one of the biggest roster swaps I think we've ever seen in Deadlock, because you look at
it's like Otani leaving Japan,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
This is you really. I mean, Dimos is one of the best players in the world, period. And you could just tell that from. I mean, this guy's been around for years now in Deadlock. He's been one of the best players since we started here on the night shift, and has really never lost a step. Has only risen and climbed alongside the competition. So for Floormen, bringing on a player like Dimov is a crazy find for the squad, and it's one that is certainly going to be the envy of other teams in NA, especially when they put up that kind of a dominating performance in the last money match against Melee Creeps. Now it's a new challenger in FPS Lounge to take them on, but I don't envy FPS Lounge here. This is a tough team to battle against.
Snake's having a much better day than he did in previous weeks. Now we see Hydration returning to form, with Leffa going back to his OG hero. Lomain dominating on the A-rooms in the previous game, and Rokane also popping off with the Warden. ZP, what do you want to see more of from the FPS Lounge?
I don't know if it's really going to get played meta-wise, even though some of the Gunbop builds are pretty decent. I would still like to see Erebus going back to the Bebop, just because Erebus is such a unique talent on Bebop. But that being said, if you pick Silver, you got to have a Silver player, and I think the way their team comps roll out is that it's almost always going to be Erebus. So based on what you want to play meta-wise right now, I think Erebus may be locked out of it, but that part would be cool, even beyond some of the other things we talked about, like seeing Leffa back on the Infernus and, some classic heroes. Also, I mean, you go way, way far enough back. Hydration had a Dynamo phase back when it was full Gunamo, way back when.
What is he now? Stompamo? He's just Ultimo? What do you call him?
I mean, I feel like Dynamo has been really balanced well, in the sense that he's not all in on one of his skills anymore. You really just have a more balanced kit where you're using a Stomp, you get value. I think the Quantum buff is really what brought him into the meta, though. The ability to hard dodge, big incoming nukes is a massive deal, right? It's lets you get a lot more playmaking in some really unique ways that, now that it's on a shorter cooldown, is actually reasonable to kind of throw out in the fight and get tricky with. So I think players like Hydration, who've always been solid on the Dynamo, now have just a lot more tools in the kit to play with.
It's time to jump into this one. Thank you, Saya, for the raid of 123 people. We also had Together dropping off a big raid earlier. All of our pro players are streaming on their own feeds as well. Feel free to check them out. We'll be bringing them on for some graveyard shifts. And ZP, while we're waiting on this game to kick off with the draft, I was told you filmed a graveyard shift earlier today. Who'd you chat with, and where can they check it out?
We got Lightbringer on the show, and you can check that out on our Patreon, on our YouTube. I think on the Discord, there's a way for people that are just Twitch subs to go in and look at it. And, it's always cool chatting with Lightbringer, just because he has, I think, very unique insight on the meta, state of the game. We go across a bunch of different topics. We're not bound to one specific schedule, but we cover a bit of everything, and usually the talk is pretty good, especially when we get in with Lightbringer. But, hey, also got to thank our patrons here on the screen. The company just continues to grow.
Did Lightbringer say anything about Bebop? Because Goober is spreading the gospel that the robot is back.
I've seen people playing Gun Bebop a lot more in my pubs, and I've even played in some games where it seemed to work. I'm still a little skeptical. I think maybe the pro teams maybe need to show us a little bit more. But hey, who knows? Maybe a player like Erebus could be someone who wants to bring it out in an unexpected moment. See if you could catch the Floormen off guard. It's risky, though, right, to go for an unproven pick in such a high-stakes game for FPS Lounge. I think they might just want to be building on the success that they had in Game 1, getting characters like the Abrams, the Calico, the Infernus that looks so good for them.
Bebop and McGinnis aren't fun to play because you have to wait to shoot guys. No one wants to warm up their game. Let's get into this. Ven is going to be banned, so ZP's Priest on the sideline once again. Sorry, Zeep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes perfect sense. Also for FPS Lounge, you kind of look at this here, and maybe you just ban the Mirage in turn. That way, neither team is getting a premium M1 off the bat. But it feels a little bit bad if you do that, because then Floormen's probably going to open with Silver.
Anyway.
And that's why I think banning the Infernus kind of makes a little bit more sense, because now you're guaranteed either Mirage or Silver for sure. For Floormen, it's kind of interesting. I think maybe they go for the Mirage here, because I didn't look at Erebus as Silver and think that it was horrifying in the last game. Like, I actually...
You're grabbing Silver. Silver has the highest win rate. You banned
AVG's
that.
really good at
Taking
Silver.
the best
But
character.
Whoa. Ow.
He's back.
Respect to Low Main. Respect to Low Main after the performance he put on game 1. You got to stop this guy's momentum. He's out of control. The only way is to deny him the hero pick. But that does mean it's a Mirage Silver top 2. Like,
yeah,
That's a Bible thump to open up. That's...
Yeah, you just gave up Mirage Silver. Like, I don't know about this. On one hand, we hate Low Main in particular. On the other hand...
We're going to a game 3, baby. We're going to a game 3. FPS Lounge, congratulations on a map 1 victory.
I mean, the stats would reflect that, Puckett, that like these two characters have monster win rates
What's
right now.
the win rate? Woo! 100%, Jake. 1 for 1.
Oh, Dynamo.
Wow,
Okay.
they pro Dynamo over the Mirage. Okay, that is
Okay,
next level from FPS Lounge. I will say, Mirage is a top tier pick. It did take some nerfs in the recent update, and also, you know, the style that FPS Lounge played last game, I don't think Mirage actually would have been a good fit for it. They were tempoing out the game. They were trying to end things early and snowball and stay in control permanently. And for that, I think the Warden actually worked really well.
We saw Mirage go 20-0 on the day, though. Don't you think he's a good character for the Floormen to scoop here, ZP?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them pick up Mirage, but also them picking the Rem here is interesting. I'm trying to think, did Xeno play that at all
So you
last
need a
week? I
monster
don't think it was the case, but
This is a
man.
throwback, man. We are
NA
back to
gonna
the
NA. You gotta love it.
frontline burger box. I will say, I think Rem is a really sick support when you have like a big frontliner draft. You know, some of the Rem builds I've been seeing where you go things like Scourge and Decay, and you don't go defensive, you know, green active items. You go all aggro spirit items that you can spam out while you're, you know, on a tag along and really have big influence on the fight. FPS Legends are going to respond with the Geist. Theoretically, I think has some decent matchups here, especially against Abrams, being able to health swap him from, like, you know, all of his huge stack of HP. You can basically strip it away in one go with a big swap. Could be nice in this spot.
Yeah, so I just double checked. Floormen, they have not played Rem anytime recently. Like, Xeno has usually been things like Ivy or Kelvin, so that was a little bit unexpected. Also, they got picked that early in the draft. I mean, Dynamo already got picked up by FPS Lounge. I don't know if there was a ton of pressure to go for the Rem that early. Also, like, FPS Lounge banning out the Warden, a bit of a run on your M1 characters here. And Floormen, they come back and they ban the Yamato, which is kind of interesting. I guess AVG, I would have expected to maybe target it, but given the fact that Floormen proud Shiv, it's probably going to be AVG on the Shiv. Therefore, they just don't want to go up against Yamato and had no intentions of picking it themselves.
Chat, what are the chances we see no Mirage picked? That he just goes unselected? Because it happened to Silver in NA last week.
I feel like it'll go 12th for Floormen if no one's taking it. Like, it just has to go. It would be really too crazy, especially with all the other meta carries that have been banned and picked. It's not even like Mirage. You have to think Mirage is like so special and great. It's like, what else are you really going to pick in the carry role? I feel like Floormen should... Maybe they think FPS Lounge won't take the Mirage with the Geist. Yeah, they're just going to take it now. I think it's like too good of a pick to leave up to chance. You really want it in the draft. It fits in too well with what you're doing. Now you have a really strong front line to, like, you know, stretch out the game, and Mirage to kind of bring it home late.
I'm wondering here in the Abrams pick, like, how much of this for Floormen was picking the Abrams early because they think Abrams is that good? And how much was it of just targeting low main and going in as, we're going to pick it to deny it from you? I honestly, I need to get extra info from Floormen as to, like, why this went down. Because, I mean, look, Abrams is good, but is Abrams first pick level good? Well, it would be the case if you thought that low main would play any other hero significantly worse by comparison. As Drifter comes in. Oh,
is this a Lepa Drifter or a
No,
low
I'm
main
talking about
Drifter? I think this is a spicy pick. Drifter is like really unpicked these days. However, he got a lot of quality of life changes to where, yeah, like you don't need to get the hero last hits to get your stacks up on Drifter. Some of the gameplay that we saw, and they're even going to finish with a Kelvin too, which...
Can we get a Victor? You know, let's just get weird. Let's bring out characters we haven't seen in weeks.
I mean, he's better now. Like,
Who else do we need?
Actually, is Victor not? Victor's not that bad here. I just don't know if people. I don't know how good Victor is. Like, I just haven't really seen it.
he got buffed. Like, he may be getting slept on a
It
little
wouldn't be
bit.
completely
but-
crazy. The Wraith, that almost is completely crazy. ZP.
She's
Wraith
0 for 2.
Mirage is like bonkers levels of greedy. I mean, usually I don't flame drafts for being too greedy, but that is a metric ton of greed from the Floormen. They are really going to play 2 hard committed side laners on this one.
I mean, right now we have like late stage capitalism going on here. Where like Wraith and Mirage are going to be stealing all the wealth for the top, and everyone else they're just going to be like, they're being going like, please, a scrap of souls, like if anyone, please, like we would like to have income today.
If Leffa has a big Drifter game, like Drifter could carry this game. No cap. Drifter is, I think, very good against both Wraith and Mirage. They want a solo side lane. Drifter's great at punishing those heroes. They also want to play long range in the fight. You get blinded, you basically can't play the game on Wraith and Mirage. Maybe Mirage a little bit, but Wraith really cannot play when she's blinded. I mean, she just needs that vision, needs that range to control the space.
ZP, what is Demov playing for Floormen?
I would guess or Apollo in this case. That would make the most sense to me. I mean, it's what we've seen Demov play a lot. I think it's actually just a personal favorite of Demov, so I would expect Demov on the Apollo here. I mean, Demov also plays really nasty Shiv, but I don't think you'd play Shiv over AVG. Although, I mean, there's a world where like Shiv or AVG could be on the Abrams. Like, there's a few different combinations and permutations here, but I would probably say Demov on Apollo is the most likely.
Hydration plays Dynamo. Erebus and Silver.
Who's gonna play
plays
the
the
Kelvin?
Kelvin?
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, because
Is this a
Rokaine was
low
on
main? It might be a
Warden.
low main Kelvin. Like, I think that's the sort of unaccounted for hero. Assuming it's Leffa on the Drifter, Rokaine on the Geist, Snake's Hydration and Erebus on what they played last game. So it must be a low main Kelvin. And I will say, I really like the style. We've seen like Hoot play a style of Kelvin in EU in the last few weeks where, yeah, he's support E, but he ends up being a brawler, right? He ends up building some gun items, building some damage items, and being like a serious force in the team fight. It's not just about the frozen shelter and what can it do for your squad. And on that note, like, the team fighting looks brutal from FPS Lounge. Like, how do you team fight in the Kelvin Dynamo?
Yeah,
Plus
ZP, that's what I
Drifter,
was thinking. Is that too
it's
much
hard.
support having Dynamo and Kelvin on the same squad?
I mean, the thing is that Kelvin doesn't necessarily have to build support. Like, it's a little memey, but like, if you build more damage, Kelvin is not the worst thing in the world. You still get frozen shelter. Like, he's not necessarily like hemmed into being like full support along with Dynamo being a more supportive build. Like, either of the two can go a little bit more offensive. And I would say based on the comp that FPS Lounge is playing and what they're playing into, you're playing Kelvin almost for like more of the frontline element here of like shutting things down and offering protection to your team. The problem is, when I look at it, is that in terms of who's going to be carrying it, you're putting a lot of pressure on your Geist and Drifter to get pretty farm to actually make things die in the late game.
It wouldn't be an NA match without an NA potty break. The nervous bladders are here, Jake. The best of 3 is ready, and so is our buddy Shoppy as we're getting into this one 6 or 7 minutes from now. Final thoughts here. Who won the draft, Jake?
I like the FPS Lounge draft. I gotta say, I think this is a sick draft. I think it's pretty unconventional on a few of these picks, like having the Kelvin and the Dynamo, the Drifter being played at all. But I actually applaud FPS Lounge for being willing to bring out some lesser picked heroes. I think it's actually the right move for this game. I think Floormen maybe went a little too greedy with the Mirage and the Wraith, and I think they're going to get punished here in game 1.
ZP?
I kind of like Floormen more in this draft. I think the reason is, and maybe this is a little bit too harsh, but just going off the last game, I think the difference maker in this game is going to be, can Erebus rip off a good game on the Silver? I don't think Erebus can actually have the performance of last game and have things go well. I think you actually need this to be a pretty breakout Silver game, because with the comp that FPS Lounge is gone, the heroes that can actually do damage, they need pretty heavy contribution. I also think, when you've gone Kelvin, Dynamo, going the Calico on top of it, I see a lot of ways that, like, if this is even into the mid game, that FPS Lounge is struggling to do damage, even though in theory they have like a bunch of good team fight ults. Whereas Floormen, they have a lot of really obvious win cons. Mirage gets ahead of the game, Wraith gets ahead of the game, even Demov like has a really strong Apollo into the mid game and like creates a lot of problems. I just see the win conditions flooding in a lot easier for Floormen than FPS Lounge between the two teams.
Some of our Bulgarian friends inform me that Demov may be playing Rem in this matchup. If that is the case,
I've seen him. I think he played it before, actually. I think
Can you run the Rem Shiv with double decay? Does that help having the same
I don't
item
think
on multiple
I think
people?
stacking the decays doesn't work. I think it just refreshes the duration. But ultimately, there's 6 enemy heroes to target with decay. People buy dispel magic, so it's not even that bad. And even Shiv, maybe Shiv just doesn't buy the decay this game. You can invest more in your tanking as your frontline. I think I have seen Demov actually play the Rem before, and I believe it was a style in which they just all in. They left like a carry and a support in the side lanes for like 20 minutes. I mean, they just kept pressuring both side lanes permanently, and it was just too much map pressure for the opponent to deal with. I think they won that game. So will Floormen be able to bring that style out again? I think that's what they're telegraphing, right? With this double hard carry setup. FPS Lounge, they're going to need to punish. They're going to need a tempo in the early game.
Shout out to Shopify. You can see them all around the Cursed Apple, sponsor of episode 34 of The Night Shift. Join us every Wednesday starting at 4 p.m. Eastern. This is your NA Final Floormen taking on FPS Lounge.
All right, Jake, we'll get a look at the lanes here. And, you know, I look at the Floormen comp, I feel like if anyone is likely to get starved out a bit, it's probably going to be the Wraith. Like, I think you still give the most nutritious meals to Mirage here, but it is going to... Wait. AVG on Apollo? Demov Shiv? Okay, we brought this up in draft that could be a thing. Demov did play a lot of Shiv, but I was not expecting it actually to happen here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it'll be enough for them to like pull this together. I think a lot relies on the early game and their ability to actually get things started on the right foot, right? Especially for Wraith and Mirage. You want to be able to participate in these like things like the buff fights at 5 minutes. You need to be relevant there.
Also, in other swap-ups, it's not going to be Erebus on the silver this time around. It's actually going to be Lefa on the silver. So learning a little bit more on hero pool and selection priority. Kind of interesting. I think I like this more than Erebus on the silver because I didn't think Erebus silver looked that particularly impactful, whereas peak Lefa is still just deadly at playmaking. And if you have that on silver, I mean, things can get out of hand.
Definitely a scary combo to be grabbed, right? We talk about this Silver Kelvin combo, though, as like something you would be willing to take with your first two. That being said, it's more about the ult tempo than the early game, and the early game looking pretty rough for Lefa as he gets down to just slivers of HP. Luckily, Hydration's Kelvin should be able to restabilize him on the lane, but you talked about the importance of Silver having a Lefa on the character. I think that's doubly true.
It's also a Mirage Apollo lane. Like, we didn't really get into it yet, but I think about lanes that you go against, you just know you're in for a bad time. Apollo Mirage has to be, like, top 5 worst combinations to go against. Apollo himself is a lane monster, and dealing with Mirage ever since his changes it's a pain between Scarabs and just general poke damage. Like, this is not an easy lane to deal with at all, and if Floormen is going to have a lane that runs away with things in the beginning, it probably would be the right lane.
Yeah, definitely. Erebus on the Drifter, too. I mean, Drifter is a wild character to pick, right? This character is pretty much untouched in competitive Deadlock. I think for the last few months, we saw it a little bit, but other than the ulti feeling powerful, it just didn't feel like an effective character. Still, if there was a game for Drifter to work, right, when you can punish solo side laners, Wraith and Mirage could be that. That being said, it relies on you being a significant threat on Drifter, on having a good enough game to where you actually can show up in 1v1 those side lanes and be dominant. If he's just going to be a pure old bot this game, I guess I'm just a little bit more worried on what that means for the game overall.
Also, hero pool-wise, it's low main on the Dynamo. So low main gets Dynamo priority over Hydration, who ends up defaulting to the Kelvin. I mean, somewhat, it was going to get a little bit weird because you had 2 supports there anyways, and obviously, like, Hydration isn't playing both Kelvin and Dynamo at the same time, but pretty big difference in play style. Change up from low main, going from the Abrams to the Dynamo.
Nice little slate of nukes here to find on the side lane. Snakes being active all over the map. A lot of lane swaps going on early. Looks like a little bit of lag as Demov is going to cop a quick pause. Looks like we're going to be right back into the action, though, ZP.
Is it the proper response, Bulgaria?
I'm going to say no, actually, in this instance. You know, but we did clock D-Mob's ping last week, and D-Mob's ping is around 120 to US Central, which is, I believe, where we're playing. I don't think we changed
that
it
is not as bad as I would have thought. Like, that is not the end of the world. I mean, I don't want to say it's not that bad because it is pretty rough, especially in some of these like instant interactions. But I think that is more playable than I would have expected from Europe.
Honestly, you know, the internet has improved over time. You try and run this 15 years back, probably been more 250 ping. Also in the middle, things are looking a little bit spicy here. Looking at the health bars and the minimap going to and fro, but it's Erebus that's kind of on the losing side. Just been rocking forward his Rocker.
Rocker takes a lot of heat on that trade, and Geist is still healthy in this side, or in the mid lane rather. So Geist has gone for triple early regen items, so all in on the ability to sustain and trade here. But taking some big cards from Wraith, and that could be called into question. DMB has had a pretty hot streak here on the night shift, pretty much since its inception. See if he can continue that here with the unconventional double carry Wraith pick.
Also, Zeno getting super low on the left. D-Mov contesting for buff. Not, well, actually we can look who got it. It was AVG who ends up getting the buff. And D-Mov able to take down Snakes at the end. And I think I know why they went Rem here, Jake, is I think it's specifically for Rem Shiv where you do get like pretty positive synergy as, okay, quick little parry at D-Mob's expense.
Erebus finds DMB, maybe another kill in the mid lane. And it's for Geist as well. Big kills, like characters that really want to find this early snowball. Or FPS Lounge are getting it in the mid lane. League, though, also finds Lefo, so not out of the woods yet, FPS Lounge. League is getting a really hot start to this game.
Is it going to be enough, though? Looking at Rokane, okay, Rokane's at 5.2k. Or rather, it could be enough for FPS Lounge, where Geist is the main winning lane for them so far. And okay, a quick little charge in from Abrams, looking for the punish. In off the telekinesis, and Geist was just going to shop. Was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, great punish on the small camp there. It's a nice find. Kind of saving Wraith, frankly, in this lane. Like, the two of these guys taking deaths was pretty costly, but they're able to punish Erebus for doing some box running, do some rotation, and get the kill on the real prize of the lane in Geist.
Headed to Broadway.
All in all, I think if you're FPS Lounge, you're a little bit worried the way that this has begun, because just having Geist with an okay lane and getting a bit rolled on the other two lanes, it is not looking good, especially when, you know, a super farm D-Mob on Shiv or League on the Mirage. These are not easy things to deal with, Jake. Like, this is one of those things that can get out of hand early, and is Lefa gonna die again? Lefa already in a bit of a rough spot, but Lycan Curse pops. But it doesn't pop in a way that's super meaningful. I mean, Lefa's gonna leave the curse here, be at half HP, and once more, the pressure's gonna be on from this Apollo Mirage lane.
Yeah, definitely a lot of sustain, though, from the Lycan Curse, right? Even when it does get forced out, you don't feel that bad about it. I like that he's rushed the Resto Locket in this lane, sort of punishing Apollo. I've seen a few more players be willing to go for that item first recently, and I think it is nice. D-Mob also with his trademark all-in Spirit Rush on Shiv has gone straight for that 4.8k spike, and it's nice with Zeno by his side. He kind of has the leeway to skimp on the survivability and the regen. He's full health in this lane.
Yeah, the Rem Shiv game plan seemingly working out, and looking here at Apollo Mirage, I mean, there's just not too much to be done. Itani Losan into the back, provides enough cover to take down the Guardian, and I mean, Lefa's kind of low HP here, not to the point where you can actually walk up on the Mirage.
Little bleeds found from Erebus. Here comes the charge in. Does get the connection, but he's a little bit too worried about that to go for the heavy melee. Still, the lifesteal from this book is absolutely ridiculous on Abrams. 660 in that trade, and I think even FPS Lounge are a little bit surprised about the level of success from that. Slamming over the top from Abrams. Speculative, was hoping to guess on Erebus' position, but he read the play well. Now the darkness in mid makes it a little bit scary to stick around.
Meanwhile, on the left, things still a little bit back and forth, but I just don't see at this point, given that they're a bit ahead, how you meaningfully threaten D-Mov and Zeno, not without calling for rotation at this point. I think it just hit the point of no return. Rokane also gonna get caught in middle, Rocker on the engage.
And I mean, I will say this is some of the success we've seen from this Rem style in the past, where you really just stabilize the lanes. I mean, very little rotation from Floormen. Like, they have essentially stayed in their lanes, maybe grab buffs, maybe grab boxes, but they do not roam to assist each other. They're just kind of winning all three lanes, which is a recipe for disaster, frankly, for FPS Lounge, given the tempo here as they need to start grouping up and finding these team fights. But I mean, the cost being exacted on them is pretty massive here. Like Mirage, very aggressive build for him too. TP's into the singularity there, but still has a bit to fight for. Could end up being an overextension with snakes around.
Also, Jake, look at the map. The Mirage Apollo lane went basically as expected. I think if you've had the misfortune of playing against that lane, it's difficult. Like, you have to do everything right and hope that the other side makes a few mistakes. So that lane getting out control for Floormen, not super surprising here so far.
Now with Sinners online, right? It's definitely a key prize that you got to start thinking about contesting. Xeno just being super annoying, really tough hero to punish, right? Because he's just going to go jump to his ally after trading with you a little bit. But I like that he's constantly harassing Leffa there, right? Like, this is one of those key players for FPS Lounge you're looking at to have a good game. You can kind of just annoy him early, deny that little bit of farm here and there. It starts to add up.
Buffs about to spawn. Floormen looking to contest to and fro, charge in onto Dynamo, and survival buff. Gonna get picked up by Rocker in the middle of the melee. One of the best people to have it, so long as you can stay alive. Geist trying to go in the chase down. Abrams just takes the rope, locks up, and out of danger. Can't quite say the same for O'Kane. No soul exchange at the ready. It's Hani Losan coming on in. That's the end of Geist.
Just gets popped there. Looks like the kills are going to continue to come in here. Darkness not dissuading Floormen here as they pick up 6k soul lead. Going to maybe clear out some Guardians now.
Floormen getting earn control off the early lead, and I look at FPS Lounge. I think for FPS Lounge, you're looking for a trade here. I really don't think you can do much to contest this earn. I think if you contest earn, what is a mild lead right now gets much more severe. Especially given the fact that you don't have singularity up at the moment. You're about to get frozen shelter, but I don't know. I don't love the idea of FPS Lounge contesting earn. I think you want to look for something else in that, but I don't know if they get meaningful trades here, Jake. Dunk and Jake, are you still with? Nope, Jake is not still with me.
And I was due to TP. Now this fight has begun.
I just thought it was dramatic pause from your end. I'm like, all right, dramatic pause as the dunk goes in.
Wait, hold on. This is actually looking pretty good. FPS Lounge finally into the team fight they've been looking for. A 2 for 2 already. Now a 3 for 2, so not ideal. And with the dunk coming in, it's still going to be a win for the Floormen, especially if they're able to find a couple more of these kills on the trade. Snakes out of gas. Abrams just the brick wall here.
I'm looking at this now, Jake, wondering, when does it get better for FPS Lounge? I mean, Geist can be a little bit scary to the late game, but Geist, I don't rate her as scarier than Mirage. I don't rate her as scarier than a Fed Shiv. And the tempo of all these fights has just been so solidly in Floormen's favor that, you know, nothing is over quite this early, but Jake, we may be a lot closer to that than people realize.
For me, I think it's about the team fights, right? It's about those earns, especially, right? Because that's what's going to proc a relatively early game team fight. Maybe at a Walker defense, like that's where FPS Lounge are at their strongest. But in terms of something you can actually force a fight, it really is the earns. So to even get out of that with a draw might have been good enough for the Floormen. The fact that they get the win is pretty significant for them in this game. DMB too close for comfort there. The bola hitting like just after the blink goes through, but they're going to push a Walker siege here. Could end up being a trade for mid, but kind of like FPS Lounge being willing to force engagements around the team fight, right? You do not want to challenge into this Dynamo singularity.
Yeah, the singularity is one thing you have to respect. However, the ability to just lay down a lot of poke damage is pretty significant out of
2 daggers.
Actually, so they can create their trouble. He's taken down. Erebus also in a bit of danger, taken down by AVG. Because AVG just easily gets additional damage here onto Walker. That's mid-Walker being the first to fall, Jake. That is a just terrible outcome for FPS Lounge.
Yeah, he's going to grab the heal creep and just parry his way out of there. I feel like AVG's just gone. Hydration just couldn't do anything to stop it. Beatdown continues here. FPS Lounge in trouble. Even a blink in aggro here from the Wraith, willing to take this challenge into Leffa, who's trying to move his way out of this, but the damage continuing to pour on. Rocker grabs the finish and looks for more, dives deep onto the Walker. Might be a little bit much here with low main holding on to that singularity.
Jake, you know what this game is? This game is a reminder to all the people that try to say, guys, early game doesn't matter. No. Early game does matter because I'm thinking about how we got to this point, and Floormen, their side lanes were both brutal. You had Shiv Rem in one lane that effectively wasn't taking damage for most of the lane, and then you had Mirage Apollo on the right lane. And FPS Lounge, they have just been behind from laning phase and have never found a way back into the game as a result.
It's a tough spot to be when, especially when you're facing down carries like Wraith Mirage, where, you know, I think for FPS Lounge, the Urn spawning in 40 seconds is going to be a very big moment in this game. With the soul deficit where it is now, it's like, you know, and your team comp being what it is, where you really need to find these team fights, this is a crucial moment. They need to get the Urn pickup itself. They need to be able to control the tempo of that next team fight, but already looks like Erebus may be caught here, although there's not going to be a commitment from the Floormen. They just don't have the numbers to send it here. So that sleep is essentially wasted. Could be costly when it comes to the Urn pick.
Possible, but we're also at the difference now stat-wise where League shows up to the fight and is essentially activated server admin. Like, the Mirage is now a really, really big problem. The front line also, I mean, the engage that you're going to get out of both Rocker and D-Mob is wild. Sure, Leffa gets a little bit of good fortune there, gets a survival buff, but...
Well, it's big if
do you get Mid-Walker? Are they giving this up for free? That's... Wow. I don't think that had to happen for Floormen. Like, that is really weird that they got in this position, even just for Urn pickup.
And they're just really prowling the Urn pickup, but is that going to be worth it? I mean, you need to be able to capitalize. I will say I kind of understand
It's advantage Urn right now. I think they're waiting to see if it flips to non-advantage Urn. That's the only reason why they don't want to lock it in. Yeah.
And at around 10k souls, I think it is like kind of right on the border here.
It is.
And maybe that's why you give up the Walker. Maybe they thought they'd give up the Walker and try and get it back to an even Urn, kind of win that dunk.
You give up mid Walker of all walkers, and are they about to give up left Walker while this is going on?
They really want an even Urn TP, like more than you can imagine. And Silver's going to grab this. I mean, this is all well and good, but now you're in a spot where, like, hey, if you actually lose the Urn dunk fight, this game is well and truly difficult for the Floormen. FPS Lounge, still a lot of teamfight ultimates available. They don't have the frozen shelter for this fight. And it is going to be an even Urn, but it's a hell of a price to pay, ZP.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here, like, my face is, like, going in, like, it's contorting in weird spots, like, do you value even Urn at 2 walkers? Like, what the heck, man? Like, that...
I mean, the Urn is pretty valuable, but yeah, I will say, like, that map control is never coming back. You know, the Walker's never returning to you. And you did all that, you know, in exchange for an even Urn. Now you must win this fight, right? Like, now you invested so much into this.
It's so bizarre. And
maybe the dunk is going to be good, though. Yeah, it's just a little bit too good from the round. They're trying to get in and punish us, trying to contest into it. Dynamo may be looking for the ulti. The big curse, though, just to leave Snakes out of the fight. This could be a route here. FPS Launch just trying to escape, but Shiv now chasing deep in. Telekinesis picks up Abrams, tries to catch him for more. Demon even continuing to disrespect the potential singularity under tower here. It's hard to blame him. There's a real advantage here for the Floormen. They want to press it with the players up.
Also, League has a 1v1 versus Rocane on the right. Actually, an interesting one, because Rocane is at 21k, League is at 19k. League a little bit underfarmed, but it's an interesting fight. I mean, it kind of depends, can Geist land a swap? What's the level of poke going down? And in the end, neither actually commits, but League is able to defend the Walker just fine.
Leffa might think to go more on this. Still, I mean, chasing down an Abrams with a Ram on his back is a kind of a wild move. Still, he's incredibly tanky, so he's sort of willing to take some risks here, willing to trade his HP away. Maybe more players coming into this. Could turn into a key team fight, but this is so deep on the Floormen side of the map. I think you're going to be very happy to find this. And yeah, Erebus tried to get that kill onto Xeno, thought maybe the 1-for-1 would be worth it, but instead gets nothing.
I mean, Floormen, the way this game has been going, they're still in a better spot. As much as I'm still recovering from the very strange macro we saw, I think presumably they thought they could also get a Walker, so it'd be like Walker Urn for 2 Walkers, which debatably even, I think giving up mid is probably still not, but it's better than what they ended up with, where they get no Walker and they just get Urn for 2 Walkers. But either way, the way these fights have been going down, like, barring the biggest singularity from low main, I don't think they have that many great win conditions right now.
Snakes is getting kind of styled on in this 1v1. AVG just running him down, takes almost all of his HP away. It's can pretty much just send Calico back to base. I don't really see how you can stay on the map after that kind of a trade. AVG is just aggroing them, man. Super fearless right now in Apollo. Really confident in the way he's positioning and playing around the map, and that's creating space. Now there's a push on both sides of the map simultaneously.
I mean, this is risky.
Down,
you can, yeah, I was gonna say you can overload one side if you're FPS Lounge. You'll give up a walker in exchange, but we'll see. Can they get a little bit more? They got to pick.
They're committing for the walker finish, but it's actually going to start to get kind of awkward. Erebus is here alongside Brocane, the most farmed hero here for FPS Lounge. See if Brocane can force this fight. Maybe they just lacking the catch. Xeno, they're trying to get to Xeno and maybe save him on the rem, but in the end, it's just going to, I think, feed an isolated kill. Surely Drifter finds him. Yeah, the blood scent is going to be way too much to try and juke your way out of that.
Smells like rat. Yes, he's not actually a rat, but
hasn't really found the stacks this game to really scale on Drifter, though. He is going for the scaling build, though, and I do kind of like this build, even if you're not necessarily finding the stacks, because you need to, at some point in this game, threaten solo side laners and make them scared of you. And Wraith Mirage, right now, I'm not so convinced they would be in a 1v1.
All right, FPS Lounge staying in the game after a pretty tough start. I mean, at a laning phase, this could have been a lot worse than it ended up being, I think in part because of how the macro game has turned out. But AVG looking for a little bit of a piece here, and it might be too big of a piece. It's more in the way of choking right now, where AVG needs to get out. Still might have Riposte available, but is in all sorts of danger. Looking to escape. Calico. Decent mobility on the chase down, but however, Apollo, pretty good movement at AVG here so far.
Oh, somebody shot him from their post.
Yeah.
Nice escape, but DMB once again in trouble. Doesn't have that Dispel Magic just yet, is able to blink up to the high ground, get that shield, and get out. It looks like the rest of the fight has gone well for the Floormen, at least to start FPS Lounge, though. Still a lot of health on the cards. Lefa, brawling now, has the gun buff on this Silver. Gotta respect that threat. But Abrams holding down the front line looks to be, once again, just too much to get through. Rocker. Been a real solid component here for the Floormen this game.
Another urn control for Floormen, where they've valued the urn above all else in this game here so far, and based on the lane status,
I see the enemy.
We'll see if FPS Lounge goes for a contest. I don't really think they're in the greatest spot to contest. Yes, low main is going to be back up again. No, Singularity is not going to be available, and they still have to push up the wave, so this is feeling like a quicker dunk. We'll see. They're starting to rotate some people over. I don't know if FPS Lounge just goes well for them if they contest though, Jake.
They want every fight. It does get meleeed away. Nice spine there from low main. Drops the urn out of Miraj's hands. There's still something to fight for here on the map. FPS Lounge need to find some kills here quick. AVG is down, not able to get the ultimate off. It's a lot of damage you'll be missing in this team fight. Lefa, though, not in this engagement. Maybe needs to TP over, come into this one. In the thick of the fight, the urn is captured. Souls traded both squads. And it looks like the Floormen are just starting to overwhelm the stat a little bit too much. Lefa coming back into this one late, but it might be too late, ZP.
I wish we could get a replay of just the mini-map action there where Lefa was just around on the left side, completely unable to get to the fight for the longest period of time. If Lefa's there, that's a winnable fight for FPS Lounge, but Lefa was just nowhere to be seen, Jake. Takes the teleporter, but it's far too late to actually have an impact on the fight, and as a result, FPS Lounge, they lose the urn, they lose more players there, the lead goes more up in Floormen's favor. The only silver lining here really is that it's not a decisive enough fight to immediately lead to a mid-boss.
Yeah, I will say, you know, Lefa being there later into the fight, yes, that's a big cost. However, he does crash both of the other side waves into the Floormen base, which means they're not really going to be able to take any objectives off the fight win. Obviously, you'd still rather have both, but FPS Lounge showing that they can definitely still find the fight, and I believe that fight was without the Kelvin or the Dynamo ulti. So,
correct.
You know, I feel like this game, it's gone well for the Floormen. They're still in the lead. They're still winning these fights. But after that, you know, earlier massive trade, giving up 2 walkers, the map is a lot more closed out. It's kind of harder to press the advantage now for Floormen. I still feel like this is anybody's game to win, especially as we get down to some major late game team fights.
I think the problem is the execution requirement on FPS Lounge has gone pretty high here. Like, you need a ridiculous play of your Dynamo. You definitely don't want your Dynamo to get caught like this! Off in the jungle! You get low main down for 40 seconds and potentially a little bit more. The charge in from Rocker right thereafter. Still hungry for blood. They get the Geist! A 53-second respawn timer, Jake, and that is a price you pay for DMB. You're absolutely okay with this. Do you get Lefa's collateral? Lefa in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time. You're still in the wolf and you get the frozen shelter, but it doesn't turn into something in your favor now.
there are any enemies trapped in here, trying to be able to maybe find some kind of a kill off of this. They're trying to get down Rocker, who's starting to drop low despite being on the Abrams. But as that dome ends, I think so too will the team fight. Floormen keeping that Abrams alive is going to be a big deal. It means they might like to go to mid boss, but once again, it's hard to keep pushing that tempo. Although, hold on, a big catch. Looks like a bait now. Snake's trying to get people to chase him, but bit off more than he can chew. Rocker's going to chase. He's going to chase him all the way to the grave.
You still can't mid though. Like, you have the Dynamo that has Singularity back up. If you slam mid, what's going to be 5v6, it probably doesn't go well. The most you could do is fake it. So even despite those pickoffs for Floormen and some relatively scrappy play, it still doesn't evolve in a way, Jake, that they can go for a free mid.
Refresher queued up here for hydration. I mean, the impact we saw from Frozen Shelter, I think, is very, very real. I also feel like DMB is just getting like picked off at the start of these fights every time. I feel like there's like an absolute hatred for the Wraith. They want to ensure that Wraith does not get to pump her damage. Mirage is, I think, a much harder target in the fight, so I think they're wise to choose the Wraith. And it's led to DMB, I think, falling off from where he had, I think, a pretty better spot in the game to now he's really just right in the middle of the pack, where Wraith wants to be significantly ahead of the game. That said, it's still, what, a 15k soul lead? Absolutely good enough here for the Floormen to still feel confident about the outcome of this game.
Also, if you had to choose one of the two to be behind, you'd rather Wraith be behind than the Mirage. Like, you do have a lot of faith in Mirage's late game carry, especially if you get ahead. And okay, telekinesis.
Oh, catching
grabbing a little bit of Calico. See the fall throughs there right now. Just DMB, Dmov, Turden, throwing a few knives. Not quite sure how many hit. Got the backup from Lefa in the middle of the fight. And this could be turning into a longer, scrappy fight, Jake. You look at the map and a little bit deeper. You got Silver now diving in on DMB. DMB able to get away. Other end of the map, you got Abrams diving at the same time as Rocker looks for something. But Rocker's super low at the end of the dive, and so is Lefa.
Lefa gonna get burned down here. The knives from D-Mob just too good, even through that Dispel magic. Floormen living across the map. Now they're all here together in this team fight. Execution comes in, just closes the distance here on Calico. The Singularity popped elsewhere. ABG is down. Is that going to be enough to turn this fight? Darkness comes out, injecting a layer of chaos into this FPS Lounge. Down in a 3-on-4, but Rokane is still healthy. Flanked by both Dynamo and Kelvin. This is a monster Geist to try and fight in a low numbers engagement.
Another fight where Floormen come out a little bit ahead, but it's not decisive enough to flip it in the middle here just far. But they want the Urn control. They don't want to give up advantage Urn and let FPS Lounge back into the game. Mirage getting all sorts of healing back, and it's League now on the fast break, but also doesn't overextend. Jake realizes that as strong as you are, even with the Beatles ticking, that could have went badly. It was all about creating space for the Urn pickup.
Man, an incredibly closely matched group of teams here. Like, this really shows in these late game team fights. The soul lead is there for the Floormen, and they, like you said, they're getting just a little bit more out of these team fights. The lead did, I believe, grow in that team fight, but by what, 2,000 souls? I mean, it really is a tiny margin between these squads, and like that, honestly, I'm more worried for the Floormen when you find that that's the game. I think they do want to be ahead of the game significantly, and like, it feels like AVG isn't really able to play the game anymore. He's just getting hard shut down by some of these powerful team fight ults. Kind of the weakness of Apollo, like towards that later aspect of the game. And they're going to say, hey, you don't have those big team fight ults. We're just going to full send it on the mid boss. A risky move from the Floormen in the 6-on-6.
Yeah, and there's no nap time either, so this is going to be done without a lot of the standard team fight ults. Rejuve down. Here comes the Dust Devil. AVG able to grab 2 of them off the distraction from League. And we'll see if that's enough for the Floormen here. 2 rejuves to 1. A full team fight now in the middle. Frozen Shelter about to fade. It's Tani Losan dropped by AVG. Hit a bunch. Team off on the fall through. 2 down for FPS Lounge here so far. And Floormen actually looking really, really healthy here, Jake, even with the double Frozen Shelters out.
D-Mob on the 11 kill streak now and looking for more as they look to run down these fleeing FPS Lounge players. FPS Lounge trying to cut their losses. They're going to lose low man on the exit. Looks like Drifter and Geist are going to get away, which is nice salvage. And I will say the wave position is quite bad for the Floormen, so they got a lot of map to clean up. But in the end, I think they should just get a dunk for free. Erebus might try and, you know, do some cheeky soul denying here, but the lion's share of the prize is going to go to the Floormen, developing probably their most significant lead yet so far in this game 1.
And truthfully, Jake, that's probably it where we're at right now, because FPS Lounge, they don't really have a lot of comeback potential with their comp beyond, again, the mega singularity. But Floormen are probably too good to give up a 4 or 5-man singularity unless low main is the sneakiest dynamo of all time. And even if you're sneaky, the other team has to give you the moment for that to actually happen. Like, they all have to decide we're going to go together. Again, unless, you know, there's somehow in a realm where you get Vortex Web. I don't know. The point is, the fact that I'm even in this conversation, Jake, means that the ability for FPS Lounge to bring this back is whittled down to nearly nothing.
Yeah, and I feel like AVG finally, of the last few fights, got to have a fight where he really was able to contribute. Hit a big Italia Lasan. Dimov is like dashing through everybody. You know, getting those chain repeat dashes is massive. And now Rocker stealing away the enemy doubles. I feel like this is always a sad state of the game when you know this is happening, but you can't necessarily punish it. I will say he's kind of on an island here on Abrams. But with E-Shift, Warp Stone, Dispel Magic, this guy looks unkillable to me.
We need two things here, courtesy of Tracklock. We need to look at our golden statue update. That's number one. Like, I'm curious where it's at after nearly 30 minutes. And then I just want to look at the damage for the game because I have this feeling that Dimov and League have gone wild, Jake.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see the golden statue buffs. I think that'll be really interesting always, like, when you're this deep into the game.
Good lord.
And, like, all those urns, right, that FPS Lounge has been able to successfully dunk started to pay dividends. look at the
52
Xeno,
on
man.
Rev.
52. The Rev is, like, icing the sinners across this map.
That, you know, classic Rem. The funniest part is where people are just like, oh, it's only a pub game thing that Rem is able to steal. It's like, no, Rem actually gets steals off at all levels of play, as it turns out.
DMB, I mean, he's gotten ganked a bunch of times in this game, but it's just Wraith with Ricochet, right? At some point, this character gets out of control in the game. I don't know if we're quite there yet. You still have something like Singularity to potentially shut him down. The Unstopped have not yet come out for the Floormen. A nice little cheeky melee from Snakes, going to slow things down. A big lift. The Telekinesis throws Snakes away out of the fight, allows you to keep control of this urn, but FPS Lounge are actually going to look for the team fight. The Darkness pop makes this one a little bit awkward to fight into, but I think the disengage so far has been good for the Floormen.
I mean, for FPS Lounge, you have to make the attempt, but there's very little you can do here. Maybe a Singularity, and nope. Rocker just gets dunked.
Everybody's sleeping. Abrams out of the E-Shift now into the fight. The Kelvin Dome gonna start to expire. Here comes the huge Singularity. It's absolutely massive from FPS Lounge. Is it gonna be enough though, Floormen? They still have these regions. They're still fighting Dimov. Gonna be the first to fall, but FPS Lounge low across the board. The chase down comes in. AVG feasting now, healthy, continuing to hunt down enemy players. And even Erebus cannot escape his wrath. FPS Lounge routed back to the spawn once again. Massive that Snakes, Rokane, and Leffa can live. Unless Wraith's still looking for that last second burst. I think the players do make it back into the fountain, but open season here on the FPS Lounge base.
Jake, we got reality check it though. If you're not winning a team fight with that big of a Singularity, yes, even with rejuves in play, it's probably over. And oh my word, look at the damage here. Rocker has been pumping. I did not expect Rocker to be having that much on Abrams this game.
He's been a huge factor. I mean, you really look across the board, everybody contributing, right? It's not just one player above the rest. Dimov, AVG BDR, just a little bit above the rest. Objective damage really coming down here now from DAB. Looks to farm up that stat, but without more rejuves, with everyone spawning from FPS Lounge, they make the Wise call it back off. Still open to a fight, though, if you'd be willing to give it. AVG on no HP whatsoever. The tag along the Divine Barrier, it looks to be just enough to save him. And it's huge to be able to get out of this without losing any exit kills. FPS Lounge, a little bit desperate, but they might want to chase this. They might want to take that risk.
What do you lose if the risk doesn't pay off here? Oh, you're still pretty much as behind as you are. Like,
I mean, probably the game, but also, to be fair, you're down pretty bad with the Patron drop. So it's time to take some gambles. Really well executed by the Floormen, though. They keep everyone alive. They get the full reset on the map. They can, you know, spend their souls, bring all that cash into the next and more than likely final fight. This is a scary comp to try to end into without the rejuves, as we saw. But Lomain's still, what, like a minute and a half until that next Singularity's online? That's going to be a potential window for Floormen if they want to take it.
I think if you're Floormen, you're not in a particular hurry because the later this goes, you're still running with Wraith Mirage. You're not under time pressure here, but you'll gladly take any gifts here. In this case, a telekinesis on the Snakes into nap time. The full treatment being applied to Snakes, and don't believe Snakes can get out. Killing Blow, though, doesn't connect. And the Frozen Shelter out here, giving a little bit of hope to FPS Lounge. As
maybe
small as it is, there's no Singularity to be had here. Would have been huge if there was. AVG super low in the middle of the fight. Rocker, though, on the slam down. After the second frozen shelter is out, gets the melee thereafter. They lose Demov and Zeno. Okay, FPS Lounge making something out of nothing here.
That frozen shelter, obscene value. Rocane still does not help to fight this one out, but AVG somehow stays alive through the burst. Leffa trying to fight this one out. Viking Curse has expired. Now it's Mirage's turn. Tornado all over the map. Rocane does go down, and DMB and League standing tall here. Looks like the final members of this fight. Leffa just trying to do whatever he can on the movement. Does grab that Resto Locket to live just a little bit longer, but this Mirage is just too big. The gap between these two teams just too massive, and that is going to be GG on game one. FPS Lounge, well fought, admirable game, to be honest. Like, despite the L here, even that last fight goes down to the wire with the 70K or whether the 50K soul disadvantage.
And I'll say this, as Floormen defend map one, lanes, Jake. I think the Floormen, they got a ridiculous advantage in laning phase, and from there on out, they never really let it go.
Finally, someone takes down Silver, Jake. Happen to be paired with the Lady Geist. Shiv on the other side looking pretty darn good in the hands of Demov, eh, boys? 120 what ping ZP? Doesn't matter to the Bulgarian. They called him the Bulgarian King, the Prince of Shiv, whatever you want to call him. He's finding dubs no matter what region he plays in. But was he the MVP of that game?
Was the MVP of the...
That's a tough one. I mean, this game, really, it felt like the full team effort here. I guess you'd maybe highlight Rocker as having particular impact in a lot of those early game moments. Like, the Abrams first pick felt justified this game, you know? Like, what put the Floormen in the driver's seat in the first place was, more often than not, was the Abrams, his ability to impact that early game to sort of set the game on the trajectory you wanted. But I think you're right, CP. Ultimately, it really felt like a team effort because it came out of essentially a 3-lane domination. It wasn't a huge gap, but every lane winning just a bit. And I feel like for Floormen, staying in the lanes a lot longer than we see many teams do, right? They stabilized things. They kind of kept them rolling quite a bit deeper into this game.
Well, particularly when I look at it, the Mirage Apollo lane. That lane did run away with it, and it is also just objectively one of the most difficult lanes in the game to deal with. Like, it's an absurd amount of poke. You have to play perfectly, just not get run over. And I think for Floormen, I look back at this draft now and it makes a lot of sense. I think they really prioritized having two really strong side lanes, and you still have Abrams in middle, so you have options. Like, they're playing a little bit more defensive, and Rocker was able to find some punishes in mid. So every lane ends up going well for Floormen, and it's just too big of a hole for FPS Lounge to dig themselves out of in the end.
Was the Dynamo Kelvin too much? Can you run that and find success? The Drifter didn't seem to be the answer they were looking for, Jake.
Yeah, I kind of put this more on the Drifter than the Dynamo Kelvin, because I think some of those late game team fights really did show, like, hey, if that was not a 50K soul deficit, I think you win that last fight of the game, you know? Like, the Kelvin Dome did crazy work there. The Singularity even had some big moments as well. So I don't mind the Dynamo Kelvin. I think ultimately it came down to the fact that it comes down to the wire that late in the game with that soul deficit is actually a kind of a credit to the draft that it has that ability to actually fight despite a disadvantage.
ZP, we got a lot of first-time viewers. One of them is Zima Blue 04, who says, "Oh my God, Puckett, I watched you in Halo, man. Can't believe you're doing Deadlock." Everyone's finding this game. Everyone's trying to learn. What did you learn from the Floormen? What do you need to replicate if you want to win this best of 3 going into the next game?
Look, I think laning phase matters. It becomes a meme at times in the Deadlock community. People are like, oh, does lane matter? Yeah, it does. And if you fall too far behind, your path to victory is difficult. Floormen, you know, they drafted for lane dominance. I think for FPS Lounge, the first step to change things up probably begins in the draft. And I think part of that is you probably don't want to let both Mirage and Apollo go at the same time because it generates that lane. I also think they got caught off quite off guard by Rem Shiv being as strong as it was. Floormen, they had a really, really strong draft plan for that phase of the game. And I think for FPS Lounge, you have to recognize that and draft in a way that you don't get hit with strong lanes to that extent.
Low Main and Rocker making me want to play Abrams, the big boy doing the work, but Goober was calling out Zeno's performance. If you're looking for a potential Shopify sidekick, that man was doing quite a bit of assisting. 30 assists to finish the game. Goes along with the 0 kills and only 4 deaths. That's the support you love to have, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also look at players like League, 0 deaths on Mirage. I mean, untouchable, right? Stayed alive through the whole game. I think that's what makes Mirage such a strong carry pick. I think for FPS Lounge, you kind of, yeah, maybe the Infernus would have also been a problem, but you just could never find the answer to actually catch and kill Mirage this game. And you know, that really starts to add up from the macro perspective. Also, look at Demo. I mean, one death.
Yeah, 53,000 player damage and 1 death. That's a frustrating game against a Demov. Ridiculous stuff. 44 kills to 15 kills, and that is just game number 1. We have a best of 3 as you guys take a look at the final builds. Anything to note here, ZP? You had an awesome segment between EU and NA where we broke down some of the best from our players.
Yeah, I mean, as I look at here, I think the interesting thing is, as I look at the builds here is, you know, Floormen, all in all, you know, there's some memes where people are like, guys, can we do the Gun Apollo? And AVG says, no. We're sticking with Spirit Apollo. We're keeping this down to the basics. Same with Demov, where I think Demov actually got to play a greedier build than normal just by pure virtue of Xeno being supportive in the lane phase, where if you get that much dedicated healing, you could actually turn Shiv into more of a damage monster early on. So you definitely had some build adaptations in that lane in particular, purely based on who your lane partner was.
As Ask Josh, she says in the chat, Lady Guy sucks. Her win rate will say it. We're going to a break. When we come back, it's game number 2. Someone's going to play her. She's probably going to win. We'll get our words. Or not. They may have just lost, but at least they're not the Jets. FPS Lounge still in this best of 3. The Floormen up 1-0. Before we get into this next one, Jake, though, we're going to be taking a look at something special from one of our sponsors. TrackLock has been helping us level up our game. It's going to help you as well, and you've got a little sample for the folks at home.
Yeah, so just want to show off the app, guys. I mean, the biggest thing is the app completely free to use. You guys can just download it at home, check it out. So just flexing my stats a little bit. The rank's doing okay. But I think where the app really, for me, has actually become interesting and kind of like part of the way I play the game is I've been talking about this before, but it's the scouting menu. So I've got this replay pulled up of our first challenger match here in North America. You can see essentially like how it works, right? I saw some people complaining in the chat about this app. Guys, the app just gives you timers that exist in the game. There's a timer here, and it just, you know, a helpful reminder of what things are coming up next. I also think that the things like the souls per minute, last hits per minute, these things, being able to compare these with other players, being able to sort of keep tabs on a stat like this in the game, get a feel for what do the numbers look like when I'm having a particularly good game, an average game, a weak game, and kind of, you know, trying to adjust from it. And of course, the permanent buffs timer. This is one of those things that I'm pretty convinced that permanent buffs tracker is going to become like a part of the base game at some point, but it's that huge aspect of the game that like it's really hard to be aware of. You know, in the typical game, you got to download the TrackLock app to be able to utilize it. I'll just, you know, show off some of how these timers actually work when we're in game. If I can get my replay to not crash, as I think I've just crashed my Deadlock.
Oh, too much going on. We're on Discord, vMix, trying to TrackLock all at the same time. Look, guys, simply download your desktop app.
That goes entirely on Deadlock, by the way. As someone that's had to record more things out of replay, anytime you unpause a replay or do anything within a replay, you have at least like a 25% chance of crashing.
Yeah, the Deadlock replay system leaves a lot to be desired, but I will say, the app itself has never caused me any issues playing the game. So I confidently, with UZP, any source game, anyone who's used like the demo system in a source game knows that it's pretty suspect.
Also, though, on the bright side,
segment, now we have to refund the money. TrackLock, please. We'll do better. We'll do better. I promise.
Look, I'll just say this for Deadlock. At least we got replays before the game's even released. Should talk about that. Many other games that don't. Even to this day.
Yeah. Speaking of games, are our players done with their potty break? Are the nervous bladders gone? Because I'm ready to rock out when we is. We got Jake ZP and somebody special in my ear tonight. Guys, can we show some love to Low2Dev in the chat? Normally he's flirting with you guys, answering questions and updating graphics. Tonight he's pressing all of the buttons, and he says, you know what? Jake's computer sucks, but mine doesn't. Let's take a look at it again.
And my Deadlock crash. I do want to show off. This is the feature I was talking about before. This is the thing I actually have come to be like, I kind of just check this every game when I load in, of seeing like, I mean, obviously all these players are super good players. This is from the replay we were just in, right? But being able to see, okay, who's on a win streak, who's on a loss streak, who's strong in the early game, who's going to farm for the late game. I mean, this type of info I think is like really, really cool to have. in the end, like, this isn't gonna be, you know, make or break for your game, but it just allows you to have that like next level approach to improving at the game, to being able to iterate a little bit quicker, being able to, you know, see things like in, you know, your given matches, like how has your performance been, right? Have you had an actual strong game or a weak game? What did you, you know, what should you have done more of, less of? Look at everyone's item builds, and more than that, just to have an always up-to-date player profile. If you use the app, this is always going to be updated as you play games, which, you know, as many people who've used the stats API in Deadlock know, it is also really unreliable. So using this app, you can actually see what happened in your recent games immediately, have that data and all of it available for you to look at and study to help you improve at the game. So I think it's a great tool for people who want to improve a little bit more quickly, right? And just invest a little bit more time into really studying the game and understanding those statistical nuances.
710 wins. Jesus, Jake, he is Eternus for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. You can check out his stream when he's not on our show, but right now you got to watch the real pro, Z Pizzle, who is getting banned out first, and does my man with the fire boots make it in?
You know,
Infernus?
I think for FPS Lounge, maybe you're considering getting rid of the Mirage this time around, or at least even Apollo. Like, I don't know if you want to do it as first pick, because I think that maybe giving up too much power, but I don't think you loved how the last game went on. Okay, they're going to ban the silver, so it's a situation where they don't want to give up the silver to AVG, because AVG is quite good at it, but they also don't necessarily want to run it again themselves, and this way, we'll see.
Left is like, I'm done with that, bro.
They're also first pick this time, right? So it's a little bit of a
Yes.
different scenario from a drafting perspective. You might, I mean, I think if you don't want to take silver first, which I can understand, it's like, look, you don't want to give up the silver +1, where it really sets you up for like a really nasty frontline combo. You know, it was the Dynamo last game, but they got down to Calvin later. I still think silver Calvin is a really strong 2 to draft. Although I don't mind like seeing the Dynamo more. I still think it is actually impact from this character. They will get the Venator first, which is this the first time Venator's made it through today, or maybe one other game it's been played? It's certainly been banned
out.
It got played in Melee Creeps. John got to play.
Oh, of course.
They
John got it.
lost, but yeah.
In EU,
All right,
I feel
so-
like people really first ban Venator now, though. It's like super.
Mirage?
Oh, you need a monster hunter.
All right, D-Mob, let him cook. All right, and you know what? I won't even question it. We're talking about D-Mob. As Puckett said, the Prince of Shiv. Let this guy play Shiv. I don't care what the draft is. Just put him on the Shiv. Give him some support. Hell, take the
53,000 player damage.
Take the lane. Give him
Go,
the rem
give
lane.
him rem. Give him his rem.
Don't
Xeno.
you worry. I
Oh,
got you.
they sealed the Infernus.
Wow,
Okay.
Infernus really is top priority. I mean, FPS Lounge, I think they, first banned it last time? And
Well, and you
it
want to
kind
make
of
sure
indicates
Leffen
it to see
doesn't
Floormen
have
take
it.
it so early.
Yeah, I'm
True.
actually with Puckett on this one, and I think it is entirely, it's not that he's good, but it's also Leffa is really good at it, so there's an element of a deny here. Now, in terms of FPS Lounge, you can do something like Rip. Okay, they really highly value the Dynamo, so I was going to say you could go Mirage here if you want. I mean, Mirage Ven, you're stacking both, and there's a little bit of overlap there, but I don't hate it. I actually think, though, Apollo, because I think the laning phase was a really big problem for FPS Lounge last time, and if you get Apollo, you're ensuring that at least one of your lanes is probably going to be good.
You don't
I
know
think
my
you hit the
prediction,
Apollo here, but instead they go Mirage, so...
bro.
Okay,
Take the
Mirage
better
deathless
one.
last game, though, so I still think Mirage is crazy. I think
Mirage
the
went
macro
20-0
presence-
today. Yeah,
The macro
I'm
presence is
saying Mirage.
crazy. He's only had good games. Maybe the nerfs just weren't enough. I agree with you, though. I think if Floormen are smart, they're going to take the Apollo right now, because I don't know that they're going to get another chance. I will say, I really like Dynamo. Go for the Rem. They really value enabling D-Mob, which I also can't argue with. But I actually think Dynamo should be a good matchup into Infernus, because number one, you could like hard lock him down with the Singularity, which is nice, but that's pretty much good against every hero in the game. But I think if you max Quantum, right, it has a Dispel inherent in the kit, which is an AoE Dispel, which I think is the only AoE Dispel in the entire game. So you could really save your allies from Infernus in a way that they don't rely on building their own Dispel magics, which I actually think is really valuable for FPS Lounge in the draft.
They got to ban Apollo. I actually, because Floormen has first pick coming out mid-stage bans. I actually think you have to ban
no
Apollo
idea
here,
how
and
this
okay, they
happened.
do. But that is the proper call if they want to get the lanes into a better state than what they were last game.
AVG had a crazy hot start. Even when he got shut down in a bunch of team fights, like eventually he made the adjustments and then still had some big impact team fights deep into the late game where you might think Apollo kind of falls off. And it felt like those curses were really having impact. Big fan of the Yamato, though, from Floormen. It's like one of those characters that can really run it down on Dynamo and like finish him off when he's low without fear of being potentially turned on with the Singularity. So,
Do you have to take Kelvin to avoid the Shiv Kelv? Or is that not a threat?
I
since
actually
Rem is-
don't. I
Not
think
with
with
the Rem.
Rem, they
What are
probably
we
won't
standing
play
around
Kelvin,
for?
right?
Let's
I
stop
wouldn't-
taking shit.
I say that
Kelvin,
because of
though.
hydration found success on Dynamo, but then they put him on Kelvin and they put Lomain on Dynamo and it didn't have a good time. Do you think it's going to be a necessity to bring out new heroes here, ZP? Because we haven't seen Yamato yet in this matchup.
I mean, for Floormen, absolutely. AVG didn't get the opportunity to play
Okay.
the Apollo again.
Bebop.
And okay, Erebus, we get Erebus on the Bebop, where, by the way, the wind-up changes of Bebop were not insignificant. Like, he gets a lot more damage out a lot more quickly off that change. It's one of those things where you skim over the patch notes, you go, oh, it's small. No, I think he is better than teams have been giving him credit for, and Erebus also is kind of a transcendent
Let's have
Bebop.
fun,
So if you're going to
darling.
change things up when you're facing elimination, I think the Bebop switch up here is pretty good. That being said, you've also given up a 5th pick, like, what is that, like 10th pick overall Geist. That is unreal value to get Geist that late in the draft. And I know people go, what, the Geist win rate? Well, that's because people have been picking Geist super early in the draft. I've always been
Helping
saying, I don't
people's
think it's a
what I
hero
do.
problem. I think it's a valuation of hero power problem. And getting Geist this late in the draft while also maintaining higher value earlier in the draft is a very different situation. But also,
Statistically,
Ivy
she
plus Rem is
sucks.
weird.
I agree with your logic, ZP. Statistically, she's awful. Bebop, though, is worse, and he hasn't been played in 5 weeks. And Jake, last time FPS Clowns brought out a Drifter. So they're going with some weird comps here that have not had any statistical success. How confident are you that we get to a Game 3 now seeing Billy, Bebop, and Mina joining Mirage, Dynamo, and Venator?
Oh, this Mina pick is really interesting to me. I feel like this is quite the greedy draft from FPS Lounge, but hey, I also felt that way about Floormen's draft last game, and it ended up working out for them. So I think FPS Lounge have kind of listed UZP. I think they're way more focused on the lanes, on being able to like tempo and find that, fighting potential. But it's definitely a lot of risk in the draft. Even Mina hasn't really been played that much recently, so I think it's a little suspect, frankly. Preferred over the Drifter, even though I did believe in the Drifter when it came out. I got to own up to that. It's a weird draft. Like, by the way, was Billy contested in the last few games? Like,
No.
No,
I feel
Billy
like he was just
hasn't
completely ignored.
been picked all day. Yeah, he's
Which,
just
in
been
fairness, there's like
available
4 frontliners banned out. So, yeah, you're going to go deeper. But it's kind of surprising. I didn't even notice. But Billy fell pretty far from being like a #1 pick with a bullet for weeks.
Yeah, and I also think it's probably... Sorry, go ahead.
No. Finish
No,
up
no,
Billy and then tell me about Bebop. Who do you pair him with?
Okay, so for
Each of those
Bebop
guys.
here, I mean, generally speaking, when Bebop has had most success, you put it in middle, so it's probably going to be a Ven Bebop lane, if I had to guess where you're
Okay.
going to go. I mean, you can also play it in side lanes. It depends, like, how much farm they're going to get the Bebop, but I don't think you're going to try and do, like, a farmed gun bop this game where, I was talking to the greedy draft part, Ven needs a lot of farm. Mirage needs a lot of farm. Mina, her early game isn't what it used to be. She's also a farm-heavy character. Like, when Mina has been used to success in any region in the last few weeks, Mina is usually gobbling up farm. Well, I got news for you. Mina, Mirage, and Venator, but all 3 cannot be simultaneously rich unless you're just running away with the game anyways. So that dynamic is a bit of a problem, but Bebop is an X factor. I think Erebus is one of the very best Bebops in the game, and Hook in MOBAs is just one of those abilities that can warp the game to its will.
Bam!
Skill-
Time to find out who wins the draft as we get into the Cursed Apple. It's FPS Lounge trying to force a Game 3 after winning the Challenger match over the Melee Creeps. Floormen, though, see the money just a few moments away. We get into the game with ZP and Jake on the mic.
Thank you very much, Puckett. And as we get into this one, FPS Lounge, brink of elimination here. This is their first chance in the money match. I think they really want to fight back for a Game 3. But like you said, ZP, I think a lot rests on the shoulders of some unconventional picks. Big pressure in particular on Erebus to show that Bebop still a playable hero at the highest level.
Yeah, and I mean, look, if anyone's going to make it work, it's probably Erebus, where, look, if you went away from Deadlock for a while, you'd be like, wait, North American Bebops, what about John John? It's like, yeah, John John hasn't played the robot in a very long time. You have to go back to Trolley, I think, to actually get the last John John Bebop. But Erebus, making that good. And as expected, Jake, we do get the Bebop Ven lane, which makes sense, because, I mean, Bebop usually likes to go middle, and NA puts their M1s in middle. So
Wait, this is a nasty
all checks
combo.
out.
You put down your trap on Venator and you hook somebody into it on Bebop. Hold up. Think about it.
Or just hook them next to a wall and shotgun. Like, I mean, you can also trap for extra damage on top of it, but between the hook and the gut shot, you're probably dead in a lot of cases.
Still, I think it's a relatively like weak and passive lane against Geist Yamato with some really aggro tempo they can put on the game. So definitely gonna need to be dodging some of these early spirit nukes, I think. But man, you really do feel that Bebop change, right? He feels a lot more effective on the lane, I think, than I'm giving him credit for. The way he can, you know, spin up that quickly. You got to remember, Bebop's gun has like a crazy rate of fire, true hit scan. There's a lot of attributes to it that are quite powerful, even if the spin up isn't ideal.
I think path to victory here for FPS Lounge as far as laning stage goes, probably the Mina Mirage lane, if nothing else. Like, the Infernus Ivy lane, it's not weak per se, but of the lanes here where I can see like modes of victory, that is probably the most likely to fall. But we'll see.
ABG, instant kill though, off the rip onto Snakes. Big place to find first blood. It's actually, it's D-Mob on the
Yeah, D-Mob Rem.
Okay.
Wait. Hold up. That feels illegal.
No, I'm telling you, I've seen this before. He did it in a game where I think they had like a double hard carry set up, and he actually was good on the Rem. It's a wild move because it just feels like D-Mob's such an insane player. You kind of want him on a little bit more of a carry hero. But I'm kind of here for it. Let's see what he can do.
Does D-Mob VPN the queue on NA nowadays? Like, I haven't like been watching his pub activity, but presumably he like takes efforts to do most of his pub play on NA.
I don't think he's in QA on.
I feel like Rem, in a way, it kind of makes sense too, because like it's probably the best hero in the game to play on high ping. I mean, like most of what you're doing is like strategic decision making, movement around the map, and then like pressing active items on your allies and enemies. Which, you know, ping is not going to be too much of an issue for you on those. Compared to, I mean, even like Shiv, right, where you kind of need to, you know, hit these key skills to make the hero feel impactful.
What I'm curious on here, you know, Erebus, last time we saw him on Bebop, and it's been a little bit, Erebus did get very active, like more roaming. NA hasn't been doing as much active roaming this week, as far as I can tell, but even still, pretty good poke in lane. I'd like to see Erebus, though, get a little bit active if it's doable without putting Rocane in danger.
By the way, I thought this lane was going to be weak, man. It looks strong. Look at that pressure on the Rocker. He can't even step up to be able to get these Crimson Slash trades and heal up. When you find yourself in that spot getting boxed out on Yamato, you can actually feel really weak. I think Yamato, strong hero when she's on the front foot, but maybe I've underestimated the threat from this Bebop.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's looking pretty interesting thus far. And I think, again, we kind of talked about it there. It was no exaggeration. If you're going to get, like, reasonable things happening, you know, you got to look towards the Bebop here, where it can warp the rules of the game. It's just one of those few heroes where if your execution is better than expected, wild things can happen. But this Rem Shiv lane is just doing whatever it wants, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the nature of it. Wow, Snakes is going to come in for this trade. Really confident. Has the Dynamo behind him, but a couple daggers in. I mean, this really could find himself in trouble. He's going to get quantumed away. The dash doesn't quite connect. Is the vault going to be good? Yes, it is. Rocker's actually here to finish off Snakes. Big rotation to assist the Rem Shiv lane that's already dominating, but Dynamo's sending massive damage back the other way. You do get these double kills, but it's expensive in terms of HP, and what else is going to be the cost across the map? By the way,
maybe DMB.
First item reactive of mid.
DMB just trying to buy time, but not the easiest thing to do in the world, where both the Bebop and Venator have just decided to hold W at you. But all in all,
for the wicked,
seen as a cost of doing business, which I don't know if it's entirely worth here. I mean, Rocane getting ahead of the game is one of the more primary win conditions for FPS Lounge. But maybe they just realized the mid lane was kind of heading to a bad spot anyways, and that's why they decided to go for a little bit more active rotations and make sure that, you know, something else was going right on the map for Floormen.
I mean, it looks in a way like a good rotation, but then in the end, the cost is pretty steep, right? You lose DMB in mid, and Yamato, you know, still low HP, right? Still struggling to be aggressive on the map. We join in with League here on the Infernus. It looks like, oh, the proc for Mirage just canceled his gear right. So actually, that's going to be kind of rough for Infernus. He is going to be low for quite some time here. And pretty significant burst on this lane. catch from Snakes. He looks to take this fight. Looks like D-Mob's willing to take it too, but maybe is bitten off more than he can chew. The Rem heal is big, but will it be big enough? Hydration looking for that next stomp. 3 daggers though in Snakes, and he's lucky to dodge that 4th. I think that would have been his death.
Durability of Shiv on display there when backed up by Rem as AVG. Any other hero, Jake, even with the Rem support, probably dead there. But as Shiv, you know, a little bit of bloodletting, good as new.
Yeah, hard to burst him down in that spot. Erebus coming back into this. You're trying to push, you're trying to put some pressure on, but see if Bebop can find a hook. This could be massive. You do have that ultimate, but Yamato is hooked. Reactive barrier is going to tank him up for now. Has the ultimate to pop and wants to run away, but he is under huge pressure. Doesn't want to pop the ult for nothing. He's actually going to go in. Oh, gets trapped by the X-Line trap. Forces to an ult, but he's low. Iridomini is available, but he's not going to need an Erebus with that.
The trap hook combo. You called it, Jake.
Well, that was a self hook though. That was a
trap.
flying strike into the trap. Like he just did flying strike and threw himself into the hex trap. Like, that's brutal. And it's also, I mean, it's part of what helps Venator too, is that can you rely on always getting a trap hit like that? No. Do you get freebies here and there, no matter what the level of play is? Yeah, you do. And in that case, Rocker served himself up on a silver platter.
Some good early fight wins here. FPS Lounge showing real fight here in game 2. They might be down 1 on their tournament life, but they're willing to take a risk. And already, I mean, the eye test is telling me like this Bebop is legit, right? Like it looks good.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's pure hero specialist when you look at Erebus's history. Also, a little bit of jungle gathering here. Snakes feeling confident enough to go deeper in the Floormen jungle, and I mean, it's not unexpected. And Furnace Ivy, you know, even when we were talking about lanes at the beginning, it's not the strongest of lanes. And even if Mina's early game is a little bit weaker than it used to be, it was still enough backed up by the Mirage. But Erebus going in once more. That's not a healthy Amato by any means, is absolutely burned down.
Okay, double heavy punch does drop Erebus down with the help of that nap time. But Billy's here. He's looking to take this fight. Snakes already has his gun spike, has rushed at 4,800, so has a lot of damage to bring to bear here. Looks like Floormen, though, taking the brunt of the aggression, finds himself in real trouble. The pillow, it does miss from D-Mob. It's one of those things you gotta think maybe Ping has something to do with it. The nade thrown in, but can't be caught. Now Geist caught in the shadow. She does have the health swap. But it's pretty, I mean, what are you going to do? Stay in there all game? DMV has no HP.
Yes.
Like, this is he might have to. I mean, he's got to make a move.
Whose mental is stronger there? Because if you don't have anything that can actually splash Geist, she is just going to walk out and exchange your soul.
She's taking this. This is her territory now.
Well,
There's coming with low HP, though. I don't think he's going to waste. Okay, he does throw the swap, and it's the parry on the Snakes, but the counter parry is there. Floormen holds it down. Picks up a 4 streak, by the way, quietly contributing some key kills on this Mina.
elsewhere on the map, Leffa low HP on the right-hand side, but otherwise completely okay. Interestingly enough, Jake, with all the back and forth that we've had, and you know, it's a back and forth that has felt more FPS Lounge favored. The game is still relatively close, and we'll see if there's a difference in Bebop's endgame, but generally speaking, if the reason why Bebop comps fell out of favor is that even if you do well early to mid, Bebop has a little bit of the holiday problem in professional play where he falls off as you get super late into the game, so I do wonder if there's a timer on FPS Lounge. But on the same note, they also have Ben Mirage, which is kind of the anti-timer.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird one. Hard to say who's going to go deeper in the late game. I think even the teams maybe aren't going to be that confident with it. But this early game already looks strong for FPS Lounge. Chiv tries to get his opportunity to come in for a kill. Has a lot of block damage from the bloodletting, but is really getting cooked here in this trade. Leffa seems to have gotten out of this one. He's still going to put down what poke damage he can from range. But across the map, Ray, it's just they're getting boxed out. They're getting bullied. Floormen really can't stand toe-to-toe. The gun pressure from FPS Lounge is just way too high.
FPS Lounge need the lock-in neutral urn while it's still neutral. If they get another kill or two, this urn easily could go to advantage. And okay, look at how they're positioning here, Jake. Immediately there. Also, in terms of just unfortunate RNG, Billy with the... Is that casting or movement? I think that's
like
casting.
movement.
It may be movement. Yeah. The color gradient is on this UI is like pretty similar. Movement ability.
Yeah. Got confirmation from production. This is the movement buff. I might be blind, ZP, but I'm not colorblind.
I'm sorry, the question if I am on there, I'm saying there's like, looks more movement off the icon, but it also kind of purplish.
I also wonder for the Bebop, right? Like, Bebop has fallen off, right? But that's in, like, the Spirit Bebop. Old back in the day, right? You think, like, the full Gunbop carry build, that was a late-game carry build. And it sort of makes you wonder how much of a fall-off will it really have. Nice Quantum, secures another drop, and a beautiful hook, catches the Ivy Erebus. Making his money's worth there for the team, but Floormen have a lot more players here backing this one up. Snakes caught with the nap time, punished. Numbers advantage here pays off for the Floormen, but in the end, 1 kill for Earn is absolutely a good trade for FPS Lounge. You would have loved to not give up that kill, but it's still a win.
Yeah, and you know, the more I'm looking at it, the one upside of having 3 characters that are greedy is that if this goes turbo late, having to deal with late game Bend, Mirage, Mina probably compensates you for whatever fall off Bebop might have, which we're not even clear if it's going to be as big of a
I kind of think they
fall
have
off
like
on
5
Gunbop.
scaling heroes. I think Billy.
Yeah. Wait, Jake is roboted out, or I've roboted out. I don't know which of the two of us is still here, but you know, good practices would indicate. I'm just gonna assume it's
You're
me
good,
that's still
Pete.
here. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're
it's
doing
Jake.
great.
Okay,
Jake
I
just
think I'm
muted
back.
himself
Test,
again.
test. Check, check.
You're back.
Okay, good. Yeah, my feed lagged for a second. I think it's my internet.
You're not
My
even in
PC's
Italy. You
dying
don't have
under
an
the-
excuse.
Under the
You know?
weight of the Deadlock replay viewer.
In any case, FPS Lounge working on a 5K lead so far, and on the allocation, Jake, it's looking wonderful. Rokane at 15K on Venator. I mean, this is where you're far enough ahead on Venator that you pop your Domini and you're two-shotting someone like Dimov if you have clean hits.
I also really like to see a player like Floormen on Mina. I think this is a really nice player-hero combo. You remember how he was playing Abrams in game 1?
Yeah.
That's kind of the style Mina played, right? It's a different hero and you know, different abilities, obviously, but in terms of a hero that's like always active, getting in your face in these fights, you know, in EU, sometimes people play the more hard carry Mina, but I really want to see what Floormen can put together in this game. Already on a hot streak. Not necessarily playing like the pure farm game, but with Toxic Bullets,
More
yeah,
farm than
pretty big
Leffa,
buy.
actually. If there's one downside to FPS Lounge right now is that your Mirage is not rich enough in souls to buy Wyoming at the moment. I don't know if there's a state you're going to qualify as cheaper than Wyoming by population, but yeah, it's not looking great in that respect. Even if the overall game is pretty decent. But once more, Erebus getting active, drops the bomb on the DMB.
that bomb hurts, and that's like 0 spirit investment. Tornado from Leffa. He's getting dove now under the tower. This is a deep dive under Walker. You might get that stun, but you really going to chase this far. League getting that burn online, but Mirage looks relatively tanky still. Shiv overwhelmed. Hold under the tower, though, by Billy. The stomp is going to be good. It's going to connect. You do find Leffa, but he is not that far from Mirage. That prize is not that big. Getting the counter kill on League is going to make this very worth here. Good hold from FPS Lounge.
League actually was more farm than Leffa, even though FPS Lounge has more team-wise. And all those calculations, it's based, in this case, a little bit more on the individual, but out off we go.
Oh,
Perry's
coming in, Burger Box.
Yeah, it is full Burger Box here on the side, but it's one FPS Lounge they're willing to take.
They lose
They lose
Venator,
Rokane, though.
though.
Losing Rokane is massive. That is painful. And Floormen, maybe a bit more of an opportunity here. Erebus starting to get a little bit low, just getting sliced up point blank by Yamato and Dimov. And hold the phone, Floormen, making this fight start to work.
Yamato pops the ult on basically no HP, but I don't know that Floormen can stick around any longer. They're trying to do that last bit of damage, but the heals are too good. Rocker lives to tell the tale, and it's a winning fight for the Floormen. Hold on to their Walker, get some favorable trades in the kill feed there. Rocker really contributed well to that. Took basically every ult here on the stack for the Floormen. Snake's now brawling with AVG. Does have that Dispel Magic. There's also an Infernus here. This one's getting kind of wild. Gets uppercut under the Walker, though, and the Stomp is going to take him down. Snakes assist the kill. League, though, may have done enough, right? He dies for it, but he does drop the Walker, which, from a farm perspective, is not so bad for Infernus.
It's still in the first at 17K, and we're kind of at the mid-game spike where Infernus starts being a big problem. And Jake, no matter how much you slice it, the last few minutes have been a bit of a disaster for FPS Lounge. Like, the entire tempo of the game has swung. Floormen now have real opportunities, and as soon as League is back up, they have some serious kill power on top of it.
Oh, big hook.
They don't get Earn control. The hook from Erebus stops it, and this may be a very dead Rocker, but hold on.
Oh, the
Able
nades come in. That's
turn,
gonna
maybe
bleed him
no.
out. big, because not only does that get the hook right, but it pulls the urn into a much safer location. Now you're gonna have full control. Yamato should be up and ready for the next team fight on the urn drop, so it won't be necessarily free for FPS Lounge, but it's a nice trade to kind of stifle what felt like Floormen building a bit of momentum.
We'll see if they get the urn turn in. Okay, looking at here, Floormen, I think they just want to get League pretty beefy. Well, you take a look at how they're positioning here. At most, they're going to delay, but they are going for the Walker trade on the right.
And Leffa's kind of have to hold it on his own. Is he really going to be able to do that? He's cutting the wave behind them, though, which is kind of a nice way to approach that. The Quantum secures a free dunk there. Well played by Hydration. Once again, really ready for that. Here comes the Singularity. Big enough onto two. The front line both caught. Rocker already down. AVG has enough health and vitality buff to maybe play his way out of this one, but a big catch onto the guy. She does get the swap off, but feels like she's still caught in a rough spot. Erebus just running her down. The bomb finishes the kill. DMB out of the fight. Erebus is just doing everything here in this mid game.
Also, the macro play may have been enough for Leffa. So Leffa, that was a sacrificial play. As you called out, he cut the wave, but it bought a lot of time on the Walker. It's enough time that Rokane has made the swap over. Iradomini locked and loaded, ready to go. One shot onto Infernus. Gunshot, not enough to save the Walker, but maybe get the final shot here towards the end. Nope, airdrop, goodbye, see ya. Rokane not actually able to defend the Walker nor get the punish, so Leffa's heroics, not quite enough, Jake.
Still, it's a big fight plus an urn dunk on the other side of the map. Now a hook onto AVG. He's caught in a rough spot, getting beamed down by Erebus. Look at this Bebop hook, man. Like, I think the Shiv is just dead, right? He doesn't have to regen. Surely he's dead to his own bloodletting here. Hydration's gonna pull them up to the high ground just to ensure that Erebus can grab that last hit. The Hunter's aura really escalating the damage you take. Caught in an isolated spot is not where you want to be against this Bebop, but of course, that's where he's gonna put you.
Also, Hunters are in general. I just think the more sources of shred on your team, the better, and you still get value out of it in some of these more skirmishy fights, even if you're not getting the
they
double benefit.
Oh, and another one. Okay.
The patience from Erebus, Jake, actually paying off. Now is Dimov going to be able to find a way out, just getting a bit shredded by the gun bop. Has to pop nap time to buy some room, and okay,
nice
the saving hook on top of it. Erebus just Bebop masterclass, win or lose, it's always a joy to watch.
Okay, I've seen enough though. Like, this character looks legit. I mean, maybe it was you weren't certain about the pick, and it may be a bit of just Erebus styling on it, but the hero feels strong. The gun is hitting hard, and that's like on characters like Shiv that are not easy to kill. Looks like a big catch here in the side lane. Infernus has a lot of tankiness. With that infuser popped, he's gonna start life stealing up, trying to stay alive. Of course, the heal reduction from Vendor really started to bite, and who's here but the Bebop to secure the finish.
Yep, getting the extra stacks too with the bomb killing blow. For now, Leffa, Leffa's been kind of sacrificial Barrage this game here, where Leffa goes down, but what greater cause are you serving? Not they went down this time, but it feels like that's been the trend of a lot of these fights. Rokane able to add on another Walker for Rokane, and 27,000 souls. This Venator is now a walking force of destruction, Jake, where if you're FPS Lounge, it's about to be 20 minutes. I think you go a little bit easier on the farming for Ven right now. You actively seek out a pick if you're Rokane here, because if you get a pick with this level of being ahead on your M1, you can slam mid-boss if it's clean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having the Dynamo also makes you more willing to take that bet. I feel like against Yamato, there's always a chance, and so you really want to get especially that Shadow Transformation at least utilized before you go for the flip. Also, I think League is going to be a pretty crucial player. He's 22k in this Infernus, the standard bearer right now for the Floormen. DMB has had a pretty rough game in like, with respect, right, to his position. He's supposed to be way more farmed than this. It's actually League who needs to kind of carry the day for quite some time more.
Buffs coming up in 5 seconds, and everyone wants a piece of left buff. We'll see who's going to be the one to get the melee onto it, and frankly, what it is. It looks like it's a gun buff to Snakes. Movement buff off on the right, not being had, and Floormen decide not to go for the engage. Of course, Erebus can kind of force the issue with one good hook, if landed.
Yeah, it's so scary to go for the Urn Touch, but it looks like League kind of wants to bait it. They don't want to get hooked in deep, though. It's so important, and Erebus is just sharking around, looking for an opportunity. Snakes thinking about starting the fight. Some big trades. Goes for the wide heavy. Does manage to connect it here on the Shiv. Infernus, though, getting into the backline, getting active. Already drops low. heal reduction from the Holy Grenade is big. He gets shotgun there. Stunned. Infernus going down would be brutal. He has to fully bail out of the fight, and he ends up getting cleaned up. Erebus finds the finish. Now Snakes has slept, but I'm not sure Floormen really have the firepower to stick around into this one. FPS Lounge brawling, looking for the big fight, the finish to this game too.
Erebus picks up a second kill off into the back. FPS Lounge surgically eliminating Floormen piece by piece. And it all started with the isolation on the league, chased down by Erebus. A full team wipe, Jake, and that could be it. That's a 20K lead now, and it's going to be earn control and likely mid boss on top of it, where the Bebop is shredded, by the way, when you take a look.
It's got to be a free mid. Yeah, like look at that graph, man. Spiking out of control here. The lead only getting bigger. Everyone on Floormen is on the deck. Lefa's farming up while they do mid boss. They're gonna, I think they get the earn dunk for free too, although that one I think is a little bit more uncertain. Even Hydration gonna get up to full HP with that rejuve last hit. All coming up wins here for FPS Lounge. They're in the pole position to secure game 3.
I mean, do you want to contest at this earn dunk spot, especially versus Dynamo? If you're Floormen,
I mean, they're still low for the
likely get team wiped
engagement.
again.
Oh, it's risky. They're gonna bring the earn in. Could get taken away.
All or nothing. Floormen looking the reverse course. They get the earn pickup that is immediately dropped, courtesy of the bash down. Billy just maintaining control over the earn. Still at low HP. It's real risky. Likely about to burn a rejuve charge as a result. But if you're FPS Lounge, you're okay with this. You got money in the burn. DMB, meanwhile, so low. And so is Zeno. FPS Lounge just poking from afar. Rocane, I think, is just tearing up damage on top of it. Where, by the way, can we get a look at the damage? Because I think it may be Erebus that's leading.
It kind of feels like game over right now, CP. They are just rolling over them. The gun bob does not fall off, so it would seem right now. The guaranteed dunk there. Quantum entanglement from Hydration. He's been doing that all game long. I mean, this is, I think, a big reason why teams are hard cryoing that pick early. And you are right, ZP. Erebus leading the game right now on Bebop in his damage. Snakes also, pretty massive contribution from this Billy, who has been no stranger to getting aggro, forcing this frontline engagement.
Also, it's kind of funny because there were players that were, talking to us behind the scenes saying is like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the problem with Snakes is that, Snakes kind of relying on getting Abrams. You get Snakes on Billy, he's not as good. And even if that was the case in the past, it doesn't seem to be the case now. Did a little bit of Billy homework.
Yeah, seems very prepared for this match here. And with still 2 rejuves available, a lot of farm on the map. Like, Lefa's going to be gobbling this up. I think that's what makes Mirage so particularly good. Is the moment you have a lead on Mirage, not even you individually, but your team, and you have some space to farm, you can just free farm. You no worry about actually being there for the team fight because you're just going to teleport in. So you are perma jungling, always just gobbling up the backside of the map, and the rest of your team is attacking those enemy camps, ensuring that they don't have the space to farm comfortably themselves. And combination thereof is just really brutal when it comes to the advantage. Unstop available for Hydration. That is going to really be rough now because you're relying on things like Stone Form and Infernus Ult to cancel the Dynamo and maybe limit its impact, but with Unstop, that's just not going to happen.
Also, the statue difference between the two teams is pretty significant right now, Jake. I mean, you could throw another 10K onto the total to represent the golden statue difference right now, and it would probably be accurate. I mean,
yeah.
Having Rem having the bulk of your golden statues and then your Yamato, your Geist not getting a part of it, it's really not optimal at all as far as, balancing out the power of your team.
Yeah, it's definitely a really rough spot for the Floormen. We'll see how this squad handles adversity, right? This has been the first time, well, as I say that, ABG's already down, kind of a Casper curse. It's the first time in the night shift where this iteration of Floormen has really found themselves with their back against the wall. But it feels like we're going game 3, ZP. I just feel like there's not much left in terms of Floormen's ability to fight it out in this game. Maybe a little less than a minute on the rejuve, so you could clock that out, but I mean, Hydration's already into the base. He's starting to hit this shrine. He's forcing the issue.
Well, again, for Floormen, what are your win conditions at this point? You don't really have them. Like, you don't have the ability to generate picks. Things that would otherwise be strong just aren't because of the income difference. We haven't even taken a look at like how many Dispel Magics there are, but I assume we're kind of at the point where, if you're up against Shiv and Furnace, you get more Dispel Magics. Like, it's going to be difficult for Lead to get meaningful damage. And yeah, the DMB just got completely dunked by Rocane, who still has one more shot in the tank, nearly takes Infernus's head right off.
Yeah, and he's caught in a rough spot here on Infernus, getting flanked and ganked by Erebus. The sleep from D-Mob does slow things down, and Rejuve's just about to expire. Snakes does go down, actually. Had already lost the first Rejuve, so goes down for real into this one, and actually could be a bit of a fight here for the Floormen. FPS Lounge still strong, still ready to shoot back here. So Floormen, not much time to work with. Hydration securing the retreat of the squad. Kind of want to get out of this one. Ivy goes in deep, but Zeno, where's the follow-up? Where's the rest of the team? Floormen need to find a decisive fight here if they want to get back into this one.
Floormen looking for anything to get back into it, but losing Demoff immediately, probably not going to happen. You get airdropped to leave, but at this point, Floormen, you're hoping for the miracle. Also, a lot of positive comments, people wondering, how in the world do we have these stats in game? Well, that's courtesy of Tracklock that, they've just really helped us level up our game here at Deadlock Night Shift.
Yeah, being able to have live stats is pretty sick in this context, as we can see statistically just how dominant FPS Lounge are in this game. As desperation for the Floormen, the bluff is being called, FPS Lounge turning now, starting to siege more forward back towards that base. I believe they still have to drop the first layer of the patron, so the game may not be over just yet, but it really does feel like the dregs. It's really just been all FPS Lounge in the feed for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, as I look at it, it's almost hard to do the mental exercise of what does a comeback look like? It doesn't happen. It's kind of like, what do dinosaurs being resurrected look like? And I can make a more realistic scenario for real life Jurassic Park than I can for Floormen coming back in this game.
Yeah, especially because Hydration still has Singularity online, and Leffa has emerged from the jungle now. He is ridiculously farmed. He's like right back, I think, where you would want to be on this Mirage. Venator, I think, still the standard bearer here, but this is sort of the way that this team has played with Leffa and Rokane. Like, Rokane plays the true hard carry, but Leffa is able to be a lot more active on a character like Mirage in this style, and it's sort of similar to how we've seen him play on Infernus. So it's really making this draft look great for the squad. That it really feels like this is the FPS Lounge saying, okay, we lost game one. We're going to draft something that only our team would play, right? Like, that's our style, our way of approaching the game. Erebus has been just a monster on the Bebop this game. I feel like, do you have to ban Bebop in game 2?
Maybe. I think the Bebop was so disruptive here. Do you want to lose to this Bebop again?
GG, man. GG. Wrap it up. Dynamo, Singularity's on 3. Even Rocker with the ulti is not going to be enough. Snakes just soaks that Infernus ult to the face. No issues. Going to grab the Urn Dunk here in the Chaos. But yeah, with that, 3 players down, maybe even more to follow here. Definitely going to be going game 3 for this one, ZP.
Also, Jake, think about, put yourself back in the player bucket again if you were losing to this. You've got to think the comms are, we don't want to play against that hero again. Like, you're not even naming Bebop, you're just saying hushed whispers because it was the Erebus show. And we knew it was a possibility, and man, oh man, did FPS Lounge and Erebus deliver.
Yeah, monster.
What
monster
a game! We're going to a game 3, chat. We did it. FPS Lounge clutching up with the Bebop and proving that robots do have a place on the cursed apple. Also, I think you guys nailed it. There were a lot of haters in the chat saying the Billy's getting bullied. Oh, he's just inting. How about my boy Snakes dropping some bombs towards the end of this game? We take a look at the highlights. ZP, where did you know FPS Lounge had it all locked up?
I mean, it was in question for a while, but it was after the full team wipe fight near the urn. Yeah, it was the urn where you wipe 6 people, get urn and mid-boss. It's done, but it wasn't looking good when every team fight was just Erebus pulling magic. Over and over again, Erebus, right hook, right time, started in the lane phase and just continued throughout the game. And if Gunbop is supposed to fall off, Jake, we didn't really see it.
Yeah, Erebus did not get the memo that he's supposed to fall off here. He forgot that part of the game. He just kept farming throughout. I feel like, for me, when I really felt this game was over was when Erebus just went on a tear across the map. He had like 4 or 5 hooks in a row, it felt like, just constantly being successful, winning so many key picks and fights, and it just felt like Floormen couldn't really play the game after that. They had to give so much respect to this Bebop. They couldn't really play the way they wanted to. Also, got to give credit to Snakes, as you were saying, like, he was absolutely in the thick of it, constantly in the action. Hydration found some very massive singularities, which we have seen is not easy to do at this level of play.
I think he's the best Dynamo. Like, you look at the difference between his team when you're playing the same character amongst different players. Same thing can be said about the Rem. When Xeno flexes over to the Ivy, I feel like D-Mob did not have the game. The Shiv did not have the same outcome either for the Floormen.
Also, hold up, did we just get a massive donation from Deathy? I was looking at the chat and I did not see it on screen, but I'm seeing a lot of just Deathy spam going on here. So we need a clarification. Did Deathy just drop a massive hit to the prize pool?
Holy Deathy! I'm reading chat. I'm catching up as we look at the highlights. Deathy, thank you so much for stopping by. Goober in the chat as well. We got Shio from the Fortnite universe. We've got the great Liz, and of course, a game 3 after the FPS Lounge drops 36 kills to the 13 for the Floormen. We are going the distance. Who is in your MVP running? Clearly, Erebus having the best game on the Bebop if you're listening to the chat.
Dude, I mean, I will say Erebus is getting like mega style points for this kind of play on Bebop. Top damage in the lobby throughout the whole game. Crazy scaling from him. Also got to give a lot of credit to Hydration, though. Like the setups, the quantums, like getting the free earn dunks, big singularities throughout the match. Huge fight. Like you said, I think he's the best Dynamo right now. I think there's a reason FPS Lounge are prowling the pick early. And with a game like this, I kind of don't want to see them stop. To your point, ZP, it's like, did Floormen really ban Bebop? After one game, do you really ban Bebop? I mean, if you give it that much respect, that hurts, right? That like limits your options drafting. That first ban really matters.
It matters, but on the same note, I just think you're in comms saying, do you want to lose to it again? And the answer is probably going to be an overwhelming, like, no, we beat these guys with anything other than Bebop. Like, you almost disrespect the fact that Bebop did that to you. Also, I have no idea if we read it out earlier because I was doing some errands at the beginning of the stream, but, you know, I'm looking at the donation thing. While we did not get a massive donation bomb from Deathy, you know, if it wasn't read out yet, you know, excuse the double readout if it was. We got Dr. Theo with $5 saying, got my tax fund. Send it to some of you all. It is tax season.
Hell yes.
Christiana 14 often supported the stream with $50 saying, what's the over under on Yamato keeping her forehead when she gets the visual update? That's a good one. Kamenom 22 just dropped $5. Thank you for the support. And Madeline saying, greetings from Belgium. It's around 2 a.m. here, but living the life.
Oh my goodness. It is a late night here in Ohio as well. In fact, I need to go help my wife with the little one who is throwing up apparently. So it's time to wash some sheets and watch you guys on the big screen. Game 3 is loading up though, and this one will decide our NA champions. Jake, for anyone who's just tuning in, why do they need to check out Shopify?
Guys, you got to check out Shopify. They've done huge things. We have our biggest prize pools ever, and it's thanks to Shopify. They've come in to support Deadlock esports in a huge way. It's a great set of tools, and they've got the cutest little mascot of all time, Shoppy, here to sing the praises. Shoppy, he hustles behind the scenes. He makes magics happen. And the ultimate thing, ultimately, is the real mission for Shopify is to empower you, right? That anybody can start a business. Even, you know, maybe you never thought you could before. You sort of, maybe you don't, that's for someone else. You know, that's too hard to do. It's never been easier. Shoppy's here. He's got your back. We've also got, of course, Sidekick to make it easier than ever before. Tools fully integrated into the Shopify platform. So anybody can start a business, guys. Anybody who's got any kind of dream, any kind of motivation and wants to accomplish something, change their life, it's possible. Check out Shopify. At least take a look, guys. Really supports us, supports the partnership. If you take a look at that link, we've got it. Panels below the stream. We got ! Shopify in chat. Or you can just go to shopify.com/DL Night Shift. How's that for a read bucket?
Dude, you crushed it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we are going to a break. I'm going to be washing sheets unless one of you starts a laundry business with your new AI sidekick from Shopify. When we come back, those two handsome gentlemen will be breaking down the best from NA. Does the robot get through? Do we see Mirage Silver all in the same game? Stay tuned to find out. It's shift number 34.
Welcome back to the night shift. Just me and Jake finishing out the night because Puckett has to go be a good dad. But Jake, we have been blessed with one heck of a series here so far. What a way to round out the night. And, you know, we spun the narrative of, hey, Erebus is better than the average Bebop. And he delivered in the last series.
Yeah, to put it mildly, huge breakout game from him, and a breakout day, really, for FPS Lounge, where they have been in the doldrums here in the night shift, not making it out of the challenger match. Now, not only do they make it into the money match, but they force a decisive game 3. You know, for this one, even if they do end up falling today, I still feel like this is an impressive showing from the team where we really get to see the potential that this squad has, right? Like they've been talked up and you know, stated as all this hype around the team. And for a while, we hadn't really seen it come to fruition, at least in our competitions. Now we've had that opportunity. And honestly, the momentum from game 2, like I would not be shocked to see them come away with the championship today. That being said, this Floormen squad, you got to give them credit. The individuals on this squad are extremely resilient. They've got adaptability. They've got flexibility. There's a lot of adaptation that they could make in this draft.
Here's a question, Jake. Do they open with the first ban Bebop? I think it's less likely given the fact that they went first pick, because if you first ban Bebop, you give away 2 ultra premium picks. But if you don't first ban Bebop, let's be realistic. FPS Lounge is going to pick it before the mid-stage ban, so this first ban has a lot of value, and okay, they rightly decide the ban Venator, because that was the other element of the game, given what Rocane was doing on the character.
Yeah, like Erebus had these big highlight plays, but in the end of the day, Venator was like that big dog just coming down on you with, 40, 50k souls near the end of the game. And, he is, I think, the best carry with a bullet right now. So if you're not going to take him in your own first pick slot, gonna ban him out. And FPS Lounge, I kind of like that they banned the Abrams. Floormen have shown that they really do give this hero like top prio.
It's a little bit interesting though, because it destroys the narrative that the early pick ban from Floormen was we don't want Lomain to play it, and puts it firmly into no, both teams just think Abrams is that guy right now and is that strong. But it is giving up the first pick silver. FPS Lounge now, in turn, you have to think after the last game, with Venator being off the table especially, Mirage comes in as one of the 2, and probably the Dynamo. I mean, they've taken Dynamo in their first 2 picks every single game.
Yeah, and last game in particular, I felt like we had like the best game yet for Dynamo.
Okay.
They prioed the Infernus position 1. Actually, this is something I was sort of sensing from the way the drafts were going. I think people see the Infernus as a counter to Silver. Mostly because Silver, you could just like burn her. Like Infernus is probably the best of the carries at kiting and like running away and like outlasting you and putting you in a long fight scenario. Silver is that character that needs to chase, needs to run into melee range, and that is a real weakness into Infernus. And so I think they grab this not only because it's a Lefa special, but also because it has a great matchup against some of the top meta heroes right now. Even League last game, right? Like they didn't win, but it was a really big game on Infernus. So this first pick, things have really shifted in the meta, but it doesn't
You're under
shock.
my protection now.
Also, I'm gonna go on a limb here. Yes, you like Shiv. Yes, you like Rem. Get the God lane. I actually think you go Apollo. FPS Lounge has shown that they are going to ban Apollo if it goes mid-stage bans. I really do think like you could do a different side lane. Mirage Apollo is such a good lane that I would love to see them go for that one more time. But okay, they go Calico. I don't love it. Like maybe I'm just a Calico hater, but I feel like Calico has not been the most impressive here, but it is something that FPS Lounge themselves have liked to play, so there's an element of deny, but for me, I would have liked the Apollo, Jake.
Yeah, I think FPS Lounge, they really like the pace. I mean, they played this in the Challenger match, that Infernus plus Calico pace lane, and they grabbed the before the mid-stage bans. I think this is a perfect pick. I think for sure this is where it would have been banned, Floormen, after what Erebus did for game 2.
I know why. It just dawned on me why they wouldn't have gone the Apollo. It's because they picked Silver. They didn't go Silver Apollo before, and I think AVG wants to play the Silver. And if AVG is playing the Silver, he's not on the Apollo. Yes, they could have had Dimov play the Apollo, but they've been playing Dimov more. Well, okay, Dimov was on Rem, so who the heck knows? But they did have him on Shiv previously.
I'm kind of a fan of the Rem ban. I think Rem is really good against heavy spirit damage teams, and as soon as you pick an Infernus, you're relatively committed to being pretty spirit damage heavy. That said, if it's gun bot, maybe that sort of does balance it out. And then a ban comes in, so they're really attacking Snake's hero pool. I mean, 3 of the characters we've known him for, right, is Abrams, Billy, and Calico. So he's gonna have to go deeper into the pool for this one.
I don't know if Snakes can go deeper into the pool. Again, a lot can change over a few weeks, but the most common criticism of Snakes from players when he's newer on the scene, I asked people, like give me the scouting report on Snakes, and the common reception was he doesn't have the deepest hero pool. And you're right, this is a full frontal attack onto it. However, you've given up Apollo, and the lane situation could be kind of deadly here. I think if you're Floormen, you're kind of looking towards things that can shore up your lanes a little bit here. And Yamato makes sense. I mean, not only do you get it for the front line, but also, one of the more reasonable laners in the game on top of it.
Yeah, pretty strong frontliner. I do think, like, the way it played out last time, though, the matchup into Bebop's a little scary because Yamato, you want to sort of posture aggressively on the front line, like, you're willing to take any kind of fight. You're like too scary. The enemy can't come near you.
I'm duty bound to
But by playing that far forward, you get hooked by Bebop. Now suddenly you are too deep, and actually you're not so scary anymore. You're the one who's in trouble. I like that they get the Warden alongside it. I think Warden actually could have been a good pick for FPS Lounge this game with that silence trap. I mean, on the Yamato, you almost like must buy Dispel Magic against that silence trap Warden, which can be an annoying item to be building. But FPS Lounge are like, okay, we'll get the guy, so we're not going to be too upset about that.
Yeah, but I do think Rocane, like, relative to playing even Warden or playing Mirage or certainly playing Ven, I don't think Geist is as strong for Rocane in recent memory. So they're getting Geist on, or rather getting Rocane on a lower priority hero. They're getting Snakes on a hero that he may not be all that good at. Especially like if this is Snakes on Shiv, Shiv
Probably
has a
will be,
lot.
right?
You would think, but also if you don't play a ton of Shiv, Shiv has like one of the more unique hero learning curves in the entire game. Like you don't want to just throw out a Shiv if you haven't put in a bunch of time on Shiv movement. But Floormen, they round things out with Kelvin. They get the Kelvin Silver combo, and I don't know, Jake, as I'm looking at it here, yeah, you got Erebus on the Bebop again, but on paper, if it's not another Bebop masterclass, I think I like the Floormen draft a lot more thus far.
Dude, I'm opposed. I'm like an FPS Lounge believer. I think this Bebop has been slept on. I think watching that game was like, wait, this is like legit. Like this is gonna be a meta hero again. The damage was really real on the Bebop, right? The hooks were huge, and the fact that he's hitting so many is massive. Definitely, like, you know, maybe you need to have that kind of a strong game, but the key differentiator is like when it actually push comes to shove, and he was just like bullying out a Geist Yamato lane in the early game with the Bebop gun, just shooting them in the head, like he's owning them. That to me was like, wait, this hero is legit scary. If you can lane dominate early game and then tempo out and still scale into late game, it's like, wait, where's the weakness? Where's the weakness on this hero? I'm kind of a Bebop believer right now.
Here's my two counter arguments here. Number one is that even if the hero is like home to you, you still have to work around your team. And I think the FPS Lounge on a team level got attacked in multiple facets in the draft, particularly Snakes and Rocane. And number two, as good as Bebop is, when you don't play against it in a while, it still has that surprise factor where I feel like the first time you pull it out of a series, it's going to be more effective than the second time you pull it out of a series where people are like, oh, wait, like, let me realign my mental and not get hooked 8 million times. Let me actually give this hero the respect that I should give it. So I think like you do have a lesser effect at times the second go around. And for me, when I look at, you know, how this draft is likely to go in the late game, I really like the part that you got Kelvin Silver together. I think the fact that we haven't seen it as much earlier in the game is like, or earlier today, is a little bit wild because it is a really powerful combo. And late game scaling wise, I think if this goes late, I vastly prefer Floormen's comp. So that's why I'm putting it for Floormen, but I think you're very right to point out, it's like, hey, Erebus could just be that guy again, and it wouldn't be surprising.
I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling this one is going to be exciting, regardless of who ends up coming out on top. You know, FPS Lounge, certainly with a bone to pick with some of these top teams in NA. They want to win their first night shift win as a team here under FPS Lounge. So not only their first chance here in the money match, but you want to be able to seal the deal in one, be able to hold on to that championship spot and defend next week. Shoppy might just be a believer. Shoppy came up on the FPS Lounge side, and I choose to take that as an omen, ZP.
Okay, that's fair. You know, trust in the guidance of Shoppy if there's a you know, dispute on the desk. Although now I'm looking at here, who's Dimov playing in this game? Is Dimov going, like, I can see a world where it's Dimov Yamato, but Rocker usually was playing.
Oh,
Yamato.
true, yeah. Or I mean, maybe it's like a Rocker Calico. It's like Yamato, Calico, and Silver. I think it's just Calico or Yamato, right? Like one of those two is going to be Dimov, the other one is going to be Rocker. But I kind of could see it either way. I mean, I remember Dimov just played everything, right? Like over the history of Deadlock, he's been a top player in so many different metas. He sort of, you know, had a little taste of everything. And I think anything in that like spirit nuker aggressive category, you're going to feel pretty confident about Dimov's ability to pilot.
You know, I was placing my channel points where my mouth is here, and I saw a comment in chat as I was doing it, and it's actually, I think, a really good point, is that in terms of draft, overall, you don't have a ton of super ideal hook targets on Floormen. Like, you hook Mirage, you're going to get double Dust Devil later into the game. You hook Yamato, probably instant Shao transformation later in the game. You know, Kelvin has ways out. Generally speaking, your ideal target is you want to hit Warden. But a lot of the other hook targets, especially as the game goes on, are not guaranteed kills in the way that like some other drafts could be. So I think there is an element where you look at the Floormen draft too and go, nothing is truly completely anti-Bebop, but it's not bad if you're going to be going up against Bebop.
Yeah, I definitely want to see a rescue beam built this game, something to maybe mitigate some of these hooks coming in from Erebus. I just feel like him not hitting hooks, I'm not really factoring that in based on his performance last game. Choppy's dancing. We're sending this one to the decisive Game 3, the decider of tonight's shift here for North American Deadlock. Floormen 1-1 with FPS Lounge. Floormen trying to hold on to what was a dominant win last week. Now they really have to fight for it.
And don't forget, at stake, one of the largest prize pools we have ever had, courtesy of Shopify. Just letting us bring even more money to the players. Really, really appreciate the sponsorship. And all right, Jake, we got to get it going here. We got a silver Mirage lane on the left for Shiv Dynamo. That actually is a little terrifying. Look at our mid lanes, to no surprise. Gonna have Geist Bebop versus Calico Warden. So again, M1's standing strong in the mid.
Lefa got burger boxed on wave 1. Man, he is down low. Got kind of smoked in a trade there. And wow, he's actually going to go down to that. So Zeno, big dive alongside Demov to shut down a player who is often key to the success here for FPS Lounge. And the first blood doesn't necessarily decide anything, but certainly a hot start here.
Disengaging Sigil and a bit of counter poke. It is wild to me how much damage Disengaging Sigil does in lane. Where it's just like, wait, how is this ability of all things? You walk up, draw a sign, and I just took like what, nearly 300 damage once you get a few items on. I was like, oh, hold up.
Monster rounds bought by low main. Interesting, it's gonna be low main on the ship. Really curious, and it's actually interesting. So it's Snakes on the Apollo and low main on the ship. Sort of the opposite of what I would have expected. Definitely excited to see what low main can do, though. I think he's always been a really fun player to watch. Makes a lot of these like individual playmaking opportunities happen for the squad.
Oh, talking about getting active early on. You go to the other team side, go for a few box steals, and you know, a little bit of a stomp in your direction.
Takes a lot of damage in the trade, which will help out in the mid lane.
I'm curious about Erebus, though. Like, I'm wondering if Erebus is going to be able to replicate what happened in the last game. I'm staring at my minimap going, where's Erebus going to go? Because Erebus has played a more active Bebop in the past, too, and the right lane rotation, it's looking pretty tempting right now, Jake, and I wonder, is Erebus going to go over there? So far, maybe not.
I think it's always hard to say. You know, it's like you keep your options open in these like 2 to 3 minute box routes where you're going to go grab a bunch of boxes and then, hey, if it sort of looks good, you might end up ganking the side lane, but you don't necessarily need to, you know, like just getting the boxes, going missing from the map. Already that, you know, against strong players is going to sort of impact the way they approach the game. League, though, really great start for him on the Mirage, putting that lane bully effect in, and everybody's grabbing boxes. The value, of course, of the Calico pick is that lets you get access to like a whole other slate of economy that the other team just can't get to without a rep.
On top of Calico also being one of the better heroes at showing up out of nowhere, especially early in the game. But so far, teams have been behaving themselves, Jake. No actual roam ganks here so far, and you know, it kind of has that Game 3 energy where both teams are kind of avoiding unnecessary risks here so far. But as I say that, Lefa in on the Flame Dash, saying, get away from my Tier 1 camp.
Calvin's a long way from home here, getting kind of cooked. Surrounded, hit from all sides. The burn does end. He's trying to grab the kill creep for himself. Nice parry there from Snakes, though. Reads that he's going to go Desperation Melee to try and get that creep. And that not only equalizes this lane, I think it brings it back in favor of FPS Lounge.
Over in middle, Erebus in a little bit of a rough spot. Lower HP, and while not dead, if you're up against Calico on the other end, you got to respect that. And it's being respected to the point that Erebus is going for the full heal, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, it is Geist in the mid lane, so I don't think she's going to be too mad about her lane partner being missing for a wave, you know, able to pick up some Soul's advantage. Looks like Snake's going to hit a quick pause. Definitely don't want any lingering lag or ping issues to affect, of course, this crucial Game 3.
We get audio, his mom. Why did Erebus say audio?
Weird glitch.
Well, while the players debate, can we go to some of our track lock stats and see the damage done so far? Like, we haven't really called for it early in the game.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, things are so early. Right? It looks like we're about to get right back into it. Calico is just like living in the tunnels. I do not do damage to the enemy team. When we see the Apollo, that lane dominance you talked about, though, right? 2.5k on the lane already.
I buy Mystic Burst, walk forward, and cast Sigil. Your HP bar is gone. My name is Apollo.
Yeah, right. He's kind of a menace. Definitely is more of like a hunkering down for the very early game here for FPS Lounge. Sort of on the worst side of the damage trades. But in the end, it's like, I don't know how much this matters. As long as you're getting your economy, you're getting your item timings decently well. Big trade on the Mirage, who actually wastes a parry and gets smoked with some big melees. A double dagger on him. He really needs to get these heals up. I think the heals from the Scarab are going to be enough to keep him healthy through this. Headhunter is bot, which is going to really level up not only his poke, but also his lane sustain. So getting away with the Headhunter rush is a nice start for League.
I really do like Headhunter Rush if it works out for you. Just, it gives you so much more lane pressure and alleviates some. But okay, Erebus in off the hook. Ends up going down, though. The price is a little bit too high, and there's not a payoff for it either. So a very different start to the game for Erebus, where, again, I'll die on the hill of, I think second game against Bebop is almost always going to be better than first game, because you just get used to it.
Yeah, and DMB playing with full stam there, so like he gets hooked in, and then he just immediately dash jumps out and throws his full kit onto Erebus for the counter kill. Dome is forced out here. Tylos on, held, face out the shadow transformation, still gonna hit that damage proc. Demov though, very tanky, but is he gonna be tanky enough as the shelter expires? He's trying to run for the hills. Leffa looks like got caught on some geometry, couldn't make the chase happen, and Demov is gonna be counting his lucky stars for that.
And when you know it, it's about to be 6 minutes, so that's a quick speed zip back and speed zip back to lane. So if you had to have your HP bar just get ruined, it's convenient timing, at the very least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you stick around here a little bit too long, Yamato will be coming back in at nigh full strength, has movement buff as well, so definitely an interesting choice here. FPS Lounge, though, they're going to be aware of the possibility of that threat. They're going to back off themselves, make sure they get their buys off, keep their souls on the map. But Yamato and Kelvin popping the ults there, not finding kills. There's going to be a window here for Leffa with the concussive combustion to maybe find some counter punish.
Xeno getting chased a little bit, but instead just backing off while Demov takes down the chapel. And now, does Demov like what he sees here? Goes for the flying strike. Flawless advance, mostly over. Concussive combustion off on the other side of the lane. Gonna hit Kelvin, but Leffa, it was a suicidal concussive combustion. It was basically gone, just tried to do a little bit of damage before the end.
Yeah, good rotation in here from ABG's Calico. It's another hero that we really have seen him have great success on, right? Like finding the right moments to be in the right place. As you said, coming out of nowhere. You know, cleaning up those boxes and then appearing for key kills now. Shows up in the mid lane. Proving to be some harder targets here, though, as it's going to be enough to defend the tower, but not enough for a kill. Erebus and Rokane both healthy here.
Taking a look on the left. Mirage Silver Pressure not to be underestimated.
Oh, big
The parry comes in, and that could be enough. Rocker in a bit of danger. But the damage just isn't there with this lane combo, especially with no stomps available.
Romain is nice on the ship, though. Like, just when you watch this cam, man, he is sharp with those knives. Putting out a lot of threat here. Oh, hook pulled in. Calico went in for a little bit of a damage trade. Doesn't have the ulti here. Kind of hooked and caught in a rough spot. Does Geist have enough damage for the follow-up kill? It seems that the answer to that is no. Enough movement from AVG to slip away, but Erebus puts him on notice.
Erebus, of course, going gun bop once more. Early headshot and slowing bullets, which is going to turn into probably a pretty quick headhunter, but also in real danger. Last stand just gets run down in lane. The answer to the Bebop this game so far, Jake, has just been run at him.
Yeah, I do think Warden is a really nice matchup because you have this huge hitbox on Bebop. Really easy to flask you. Your stamina is pretty low in general, so a lot of vulnerability getting trapped and just being down by Warden. But both Rokane and DMB have been having an identical but strong start to the game. So both carries, I think, are going to find themselves with a lot of responsibility in terms of the outcome of this one.
Floormen starting to get a little bit of a lead going. Most importantly, DMB at 7.5k, but matched by Rokane at the same point. 1 minute away from buffs and urn, where one thing we've learned here today, Jake, Floormen, they value the urn above all reason and logic at times, as we got the urn for 2 Walker trade, which, you know, probably wasn't intentional. They were trying to get Walker themselves, but it was kind of testament that they value the Walker, or rather, they value the urn.
I also feel like, I mean, Hydration's Dynamo has been getting tons of, I think like basically every dunk they get is essentially guaranteed secure from Hydration with the Quantum Entanglement. Bit of an attempt here onto Floormen, but you're not going to go that deep with Hydration close behind you, ready to support.
So Urn is going to be spawning on yellow, which is the left, though you know, we don't have lane colors here in observer mode. And you take a look, Floormen's already stacking the deck towards the left. You have 4 people ready to move, potentially 5, depending on like how hard Silver wants to rotate. 10 seconds until buff, and where FPS Lounge is set so far, I don't know if they're going to contest Urn pickup as much. You do have Erebus rotating, but they give up the buff. And this time around, it is casting buff on the ABG. Okay, the tone of casting movement are actually like shockingly similar, but you just got to focus on the icon. As small as it is.
Yeah, Luffa grabs a Vitality buff, which will be nice for Infernus at this moment in the game where you really want to kind of go in and put your body on the line. An attempt here onto the Calico, who slips away up to the high ground. That casting buff could really help out. TPN from League wants to get involved in this fight early on the Mirage. Of course, Urn buff on the line. The laser from Erebus, though, is kind of zoning players away, slowing things down and letting FPS Lounge get in the position they want for the team fight. Urn pickup goes to League.
That was a 5-man rotation for Urn pickup from Floormen. FPS Lounge only brought over 4 and then quickly rotated off to middle, saying, okay, we're not going to be able to get Urn, but at the very least, we're going to take down middle Guardian in exchange. And still a little bit of scrappiness happening here on the left. Finding Word ends up hitting on the snakes, though. There's still Apollo. You still have ability to get out. And FPS Lounge, they're going for Walker right now. It's a full dash onto the Walker, but so many Floormen are rotating over. I don't think they get this one here, Jake.
It's a big lead here on the Silver. She's getting pretty low. She's going to be able to get this ult pop. It seems the answer is no. Erebus finds that finish. Nice parry by the Shiv on the heavy melee. It's going to keep him alive for just a second longer. Floormen hitting everything here. Should be caught dead to rights, though, as here comes DMB. Farmed up on the Warden, trying to get active, trying to get a solid cleanup fight with an Urn hanging in the balance. With Hydration going down, you'd think surely that'll be the dunk for the Floormen, but full aggression from FPS Lounge. This time it gets punished, but it is on the opposite side of the map, so in the end, the cost is mitigated somewhat, and I think FPS Lounge actually still going to fight this.
Yeah, the thing is, spawn timer is so low that you get another crack at this. Frozen Shelter, though, in from Xeno. Healing up people that are starting to get a little bit low. Trapping in 1.
Oh, he's in trouble. League. It's enough of a front line around him where FPS Lounge think better of going for that kill, but look at Leffa, man, really to get into the thick of the fight. Still healthy with that Vitality buff. Starting to box out Kelvin, running out of gas. No skills left, cooking now. 2 Leffas in Furnace. Trade has come in onto Snakes.
Hello.
Is there going to be another kill for Floormen? This trade on the Yamato is really crucial here. Yamato trying to maybe bait out some skills here, play around that Dispel Magic. Shiv finds himself in trouble, trying to just make as much time as he can. Eventually, that Power Slash takes him down.
I was just staring at the health bars the entire time. FPS Lounge was so incredibly low. They're still throwing bodies here at the Urn, but Floormen has been working from a position of advantage, and even with the low spawn timers, I don't know if you get another wave out here before the dunk happens, but all the way, Hydration comes on in, does the stomp, does the quick melee, does the singularity. Snakes is back into the fight after a death, takes down League. It is scrappy. The respawns have come on in, and the Urn still on the floor now, about to be picked up by Xeno. Is the dunk happening now? And is. So the respawns, not enough for FPS Lounge.
Goes back.
They get some consolation prize here, Jake.
I mean, DMB is a hell of a consolation prize. If there was a kill to find, it's probably the most valuable one on the map. Potentially another dive here to be had. The Malice stacking up on Calico. Bomb connects as well, but thinks better of it. Mirage here to assist out. I think Rocane should be okay, although Mirage actually going to chase this one down into the sewer. Rocane might have bitten off more than he can chew, does not have the swap available, so yeah, Mirage is just going to hard chase this one. Erebus finds the kill on Xeno to punish in the meantime, but that's a very big solo kill for League to pick up.
Also, it's kind of the eye test. Like, League has looked decent for us in the past, but when it comes to today, there's like such a world of difference between League and on Mirage versus League on Infernus. And all right, got a little bit of a net worth tracking here. You know, you can see it at the top, but why look at the top of your screen when you can have neat bars brought to you by TrackLock?
Yeah, it's nice to see how closely matched it is, especially for the top farm players on Floormen, right? They're very, very even with one another. It's huge that AVG is having such a strong game on the Calico to be commensurate with like the hard farming carries, because he's going to be central to these early game skirmishes that FPS Lounge has shown that they are more than willing to continue to force.
Floormen still working with a small lead, and you know, Jake, we had all the drama and intrigue of the last turn. Now I got news for you. In 30 seconds, we're going back, and this time it's going to be on green on the right side, although it's already turned into a bit of a skirmish. Yamato Warden ending up fighting here. DMB, if he goes down, it would be huge for the next Earn fight, but he is so tanky at this point that, you know, even a little bit of damage here doesn't really dissuade him.
Leffa may be in trouble, but I think he's gotten out of that one with the Flame Dash. Both teams really brawling before even the buffs and Earn spawn, but it seems like Floormen have kind of won the day, at least getting this space in the map under their control. And with both a spirit buff on D-Mob and a gun buff on League, they're going to be a bit of a force to be reckoned with, right? The soul lead is pretty small, but those two buffs at 15 minutes, it really does matter to your team's fighting power.
I think the key, you don't want to misplay around Hyper Beam. Bebop Hyper Beam on Earn pickup, actually a little bit scary. Erebus likely about to let rip it. Leffa's already almost dead. Leffa got chunked at the start. Now DMB, last stand going to be used as a Hyper Beam comes out from above. Walking forward is the Warden. Leffa already gone. Demov also having the retreat and gets caught by Snakes. 1 for 1 here so far, but still a healthy Warden that gets to hold W, move forward, and the Hyper Beam's long gone.
Does he earn control?
Yeah.
It's a pretty big fact when you have this Dynamo to potentially secure a dive coming in, but Snakes disengaging Sigil is going to do just that, get him up to the high ground and get him out of there. And Walker goes down, and was that just a solo take by Rokane? If he goes down for this, it's not going to feel as good. But it looks like they're going to back off the chase, look to just try to contest this. The dunk is coming in, and Calico can't quite be there to contest. The hook was perfectly timed by Erebus to ensure that he just was stunned for that moment when he would want to get the quick melee. And FPS Lounge are in and out of that one. What a heist.
Iced is the right word. I mean, the team fight was still going on, and the call just had to be, okay, disengage, disengage. Hydration got the Earn. Doesn't get intercepted by a leaping slash from AVG, and it does flip the game a little bit. It was a mild lead for Floormen, now is a slightly smaller lead, but for FPS Lounge.
Definitely going to feel impactful, especially because Hydration is holding on to that singularity, man. Like, it really does put that pressure on you that he's able to have impact in these fights and be a significant force with the quantum entanglement, saving people, and those stomps, like disrupting the enemy front line. But he's saving the singularity for when it really counts. I think Hunter's Aura for AVG, I mean, really wants to amp up his team's gun damage. So but it's kind of a little bit of a self-sacrificial buy, right? Where you think you could have gone more individual burst with Spirit. Instead, he's going to prioritize ensuring that Rocker and DB can do max damage. Rocker, by the way, forced into an ultimate, but gets hooked on his jump out, I believe.
Pretty nice.
That cooldown, and the execution comes in. Low main ensures that finish onto Rocker. Low main, by the way, is having a crazy game. He has hit so many nasty parries in this one. I mean, we haven't even been able to talk about it entirely, but...
Well, we got Walker pressure for Floormen after that.
Tali Losan.
However, yeah, Tani Losan over hits 2, and that's going to put a damper on a lot of pressure coming in. Both Mirage and Yamato down the half, and AVG is all sorts of low here. Ends up getting hit by the riposte. However, the fall through is there. AVG actually still completely okay. It's Xeno making that a lot better after the Tani Losan got people low.
Yeah, and with that amount of help they have to bring to bear, surely they'll be able to get this Walker, but the trade has already come in. Leffa was already sieging alongside Hydration on the other side of the map. And actually, there just takes a little bit too long to heal up. They're not even able to stick around. Erebus coming in with the backflank here, getting a big punish onto Mirage. Puts the slowing X on him so he can't tornado out after the hook. However, might have done a little bit too much for him, and they're still healthy here, and they want this fight. D-Mob has already shut down Rokane. Leffa's not here into this fight, so a bit of a throw from FPS Lounge, I think, being a little bit overconfident in this position. And Floormen immediately called the bluff.
It was live by the Erebus, die by the Erebus. I think Erebus thought he was back in the last game where you could do that and live. In this case, Floormen were retreating. They weren't going to get Walker. It was a, oh, okay.
Killing Yamato
Jump pad
almost makes
hit.
it worth it, though. I mean, losing Rokane probably isn't, but looks like Yamato's getting run down. Yeah, Leffa catches him on the exit. If he gets the burn, oh, he has the... Oh, a rare mistake from Leffa, actually.
We're seeing D-Mob's movement on full display right here. This is absurd. You just hear the sound of ankles in distress. It's still being chased by Snakes, by the way. Snakes is immediately behind, past the turn, and no, I think is gone here. Tani Losan surely not going to be dodged. Hits.
Wait, it's getting weird.
Hold on. Okay.
And wait, DMB? Hold on, DMB going down as well to Rokane in the chaos? Somehow, that's another major mistake in this game. And FPS Lounge, in the chaos, they come away with 2 kills. I mean, I think they lost kills of their own for that. We could have forgotten since they're already back into the fight. But they're ensuring that whenever they do lose something, that they extract some kind of a blood price for it. Erebus, once again, looking to get active, rotating. The movement speed with this Fortitude is crazy. He can just be anywhere on the map.
The macro for Floormen is a little bit suspect here, where they had some trades that weren't trades, where they thought they were going to get left Walker and they don't. They still don't have a Walker, Jake, and it's nearly 20 minutes. We're about the point where slot tension becomes a really big issue, and you have to start modifying your build in less than optimal ways. Still, though, it's 20 minutes. Buffs are up. Earn back on yellow on the left. And we'll see how contested this Earn pickup is. And the answer, Jake, is going to be very contested. Both teams going in for the Earn.
Looks like a fight about to break out here. Erebus starting to put on some big damage in a mostly defensive ult from AVG. That does not feel good on Calico, especially when Erebus running you down. Slowing Bolt's going to secure that finish kill. Floormen taking the rest of the aggression, but he's got the vitality buff, and he is not even dropping low. Another speculative hook this time doesn't connect. Luckily for the Floormen's chances, because FPS Lounge are building ahead of steam in this game. They've got the Earn control, and they might even look for the advantage dunk with Singularity online and AVG down. Why not?
Kind of a blessing there. It was just barely at the threshold, and there's a world where that could have been a few thousand the other way, and it's a neutral Earn turn. But you're not going to get fair terrain for this. But another hook, this time on the Rocco, gets beamed down, Jake. Absolutely demolished in off the hook. Erebus starting to come alive, and losing your silver. Surely this is going to result in a dunk. Quantum.
Wait, they kind of messed up. They got melee out. Singularity. Singularity's huge. The dome, though, might be enough to sustain through it. He's trying to hold on to his Tally Losan until the last moment, see if he's able to get that damage in, but FPS Lounge seems to be coming away with the kills. Floormen running rampant in the backline. Hydration now, trying to play his life, trying to deny that counter kill. But the conclusion of this fight feels foregone with players like Lefa and Floormen still healthy, still brawling this one. Snake's trying to get that Earn finally. He's been hustling this day in, day out. The dunk finally comes through, and still no trades in the fight. Even Erebus staying alive in this one. Lefa just running down D-Mob, who needs to try to slip away from this one. Takes a trip into the Veil, would try to go for the juke here, and maybe it's enough. Lefa doesn't have the HP to feel confident chasing Yamato into a small room.
Jake, let's talk about what's at stake here. We are on the verge of having a new champion. Rocker getting caught out. Mid-boss, now a distinct possibility, but FPS Lounge 25,000 souls ahead, getting the advantage and dunk directly in Floormen's face. And while it's not over just yet, we are quickly heading to that reality. And AVG again, trying to pop return the shot pretty early. Actually may want this fight. Only 2 knives stuck in him here so far. Taking the fight here versus Shiv, and this is a lot of Calico damage, but the knives are doing too much.
Yeah, I don't know about taking that fight to Floormen. Great movement from him. Shotgun blasts are going to get him out of the Warden trap. And now, hey, DMB had to come in for that. He had to take a risk for that. Lefa running him down. If they're going to have the hook to get him out of the TP, Lefa just brawling, has the burn, has the combustion, even going to pop DMB. Looks like before that TP can even get off. So FPS Lounge now dominating here on the Cursed Apple. And maybe a mid-boss on the cards here, ZP. 30 seconds without an AVG or without DMB. You think you're going to go for it? And the answer is yes.
We had a new champion earlier today in Europe. We're about to see the same here in North America. It would be FPS Lounge first win of Deadlock Night Shift, and of course, in one of the biggest prize pools ever. They have put themselves in a fantastic position. No contest on the Rejuvenators, and what a day of Deadlock it would be, Jake. 2 new champions in the same day, and FPS Lounge finally living up to a lot of the expectations many have put on them.
Yeah, the players you need to have big games are having exactly that. Rokane and Lefa dominating. Floormen, honestly, Floormen crushing the series. Like, he has played 3 completely different heroes, and I feel like he's looked good all day. Like, every time we've seen him, he has been contributing key aspects of the success. The one weaker game was on the Dynamo, where it's like, look, let this guy cook. You know, give him the true playmakers and see what he can do for the squad.
I'm just thinking back to how we got here, Jake, and I think a lot of this, you have to go back to some of the macro decisions Floormen made where, Jake, it's 24 minutes and there's not a walker to be had, and Floormen had opportunities to go for walkers or punish FPS Lounge a little bit more for the trades. And now we're certainly at the point where your build quality is getting deeply impacted. Like, we haven't looked at League in a while, but, you know, there's a good chance League has had to sell some things that normally you wouldn't sell until much deeper into your Mirage build.
Yeah, Mirage. I think Mirage and Warden, they really like having at least 1 or 2 extra slots. Meanwhile, FPS Lounge working with a surfeit of extras in that regard. Xeno just popped and deleted. No chance. Oh! Cannot get away. He is too nice with it.
That is wild. Erebus is doing it again. It was a much slower start. It felt like Erebus was countered at the beginning of the game. Floormen, they were ahead out of laning phase, Jake, and it is just all fallen apart to a now 3 rejuve advantage for FPS Lounge, 30,000 souls, and it is truly FPS Lounge's game to lose at this point. Silence onto the Geist while the cage is going in.
He's holding
so the soul exchange is ready, but okay, do you have the movement to get over? You got the warp stone set up for you by the Dynamo. Singularity in from Hydration. That's gonna be a dead DMB.
Yeah, and maybe more to follow soon after. Still 3 rejuves available. It just feels like you cannot stop FPS Lounge at this point in the game. Beautiful hold here by Rocane and Hydration. Fighting together to defend. I mean, yes, the Walker goes down. Floormen, they open up a slot, but you lose Rocker and DMB. It's incredibly expensive. You lose an Urn Dunk, and likely your base. Erebus is in there alongside Lefa, opening up for the first shrine of the game. And the way this guy's playing, man, he might find some more kills as well on top of it. You've got to be scared every time the hook CD comes off, and that is a free dunk coming in, fully secured by Snakes.
And now FPS Lounge on the verge of finishing it off here, Jake. They're in onto Shrines, soon to be on the Patron. And for Floormen, you know, this is part of the cast where we go, okay, what can you do? I don't think there's much that can be done at this point.
Yeah, it feels like the game is fully in control of FPS Lounge now. It's just a matter of securing it, stabilizing. He's thinking about buying a curse there. Okay, buys an E-ship. The wrong, like, portrait of a guy.
The wrong portrait of a guy.
I mean, I was like, curse would be a wild buy on Shiv. I mean, you know, you do a lot of damage on Shiv. I wouldn't want minus 10% on that. Doesn't necessarily need us. DMB. I see that health bar drop in. Snakes finds that kill. Looks like the base dive has already begun. FPS Launch full confidence here. Hook available for Erebus. So many targets for him to choose from. And he manages to find Snakes, which I guess pulls Snakes out when relatively low HP. Not the end of the world, but... Oh, and hold on. A curse hit and a big power. Okay, Erebus. Kind of caught 4K on that one. Only 1 rejuve remaining. Floormen, remember, they're already down a player. Inside the Kelvin Dome, they seem strong, but the player's still alive here for FPS Lounge. Second Dome comes down. They're a refresher from Xeno. I think freshly bought into this team fight. Best fight in a long time, but it doesn't even enough. The massive swap from Rocane gets it down from a sliver of HP to absolutely capped. Erebus finds another hook to surely close out this game now as Floormen have all hit the deck. The second shrine to fall, Patron soon to follow, and the Hidden King, ZP, I fear is not long for this world.
The Hidden King has seen better days, but FPS Lounge is certainly not. Their journey to being champions here on Deadlock Night Shift in North America nearly complete. Jake, take a look. They are ready and raring to go. No retreat to be seen from FPS Lounge. Second stage Patron getting pummeled. And just like in EU, a new champion about to be born in North America. Floormen coming out to make it invulnerable.
Pretty strong
but do they have what's needed? Snakes is kind of low. Hold on.
Snakes, Tylosan out of the fight. Just wants to disengage. That was a big fight from Floormen. They really held the line there. I think FPS Lounge thought if we could just end it here, you know. But hold on, maybe Lefa still can. He comes in, turning around with concussive combustion, thinking about recommitting into this one, but maybe thinking better of it. Hydration, though, has that singularity. You got to be worried about that as you also try to clear out your base at the same time. Still, it's desperation time for the Floormen. They need a big fight, but the singularity is even bigger. It's 3, maybe 4 man. Floormen hit the deck. 2 players remaining in FPS Lounge. Dominates the server. DMB soon to fall, and only AVG stands. The creeps, the Winions, gonna do this one on their own. Beautiful.
What a return to form. Hydration once on Floormen in the past. The once former Hydra Nation. He's found a new nation here at FPS Lounge. A champion once more in North America. Deadlock. Hydration and FPS Lounge on top.
Crazy series, so well played, honestly, by both squads, but you really got to give it to some of these players who really had their breakout moments for FPS Lounge. You know, Erebus had a crazy series when he brought out the Bebop. It turned everything around. Got to look at Leffa. That was like prime Leffa of the olden days, right? Dominating games, taking these 1v1s, winning his lanes. Snakes having a big game. People have been questioning him, doubting him as a player. Hydration with easily the best series of Dynamo games we've ever had, I think, on the night shift in terms of every single singularity was massive. He's doing everything right on the roll. It really feels like a great hero, you know, for his style, for what he plays. And Floormen, I mean, crazy individualism from him. So this felt like we really got to see why FPS Lounge was such a hype squad. This is like the true potential unleashed in a game.
Yeah, and I mean, it continues a good week for them. Not only getting their first championship here, they go into the Death Slam Invitational this weekend as the #1 team at qualifiers. I believe, don't hold me to it, I'm pretty sure that's the case. And all in all, showing some adaptation, but also the secret weapon that was Erebus on the Bebop. In a way, it almost felt like it made the rest of the draft. It's like, yeah, that was a thing, but have you seen our Bebop?
Yeah, and Rokane as well. Just really, really rock solid carry performance from him. I mean, like all of this aggression in the early game really comes to fruition when Rokane starts to get involved. Really piloted it masterfully into some of these late game team fights. Secures the win for the squad. I mean, Erebus just put that dog on a leash, man. Absolutely dominated.
Yeah, and also, I think the impressive part for Erebus, too, is that it wasn't a good start to the game. Like, the early game was not good, and FPS Lounge dug themselves out of the hole. I mean, I think we'd have to go back and look at the VOD here, Jake, because to me, this got out of hand by Floormen making some very questionable macro decisions. Also, you know, we stopped checking in on it, but did they ever get a walker this game?
I think they got one, but they had to like die 2 players for it, and it kind of precipitated their loss. So it's like, yeah, they got one, but barely, you know, by the skin of their teeth. Full desperation they like all in. I think it was, you know, maybe the second to last team fight. They all in for one.
Eventually, you do have players like, gentlemen, I actually cannot play the game without another slot. Like, I require a slot. Okay, yeah, this was the slot they got, but you're right. It came at a pretty severe cost. Also, was late enough in the game that it didn't really matter too much at that point, Jake. It was all over but the crying, and the heart of it all.
Look at this.
Erebus just hook after hook, man. Unbelievable work. But
I'm calling it right now.
follow-through.
ZP Bebop is back in the meta. Dude, the hydration ulting like 4 there, and Floormen just spamming slice and dice back and forth through them. Like, you are done.
Also, we gotta give some credit to Snakes too. You know, going back to the draft, we called out. That was a pretty anti-Snakes draft. That was a we hate Snakes in particular draft. And Snakes at some point says, like, guys, it's not that hard to play Apollo. Like, I'll just play Apollo. It doesn't matter, man. And where we're at, but we do get the final stats of the game, and you know, kind of interesting because it felt at times like Leffa, you know, got sacrificed a bit, but Leffa still knows how to pump some damage on Infernus, Jake.
Yeah, right. He's always in there, and I think it's actually a great role for him as a player where he's not like the true ultra late carry where he needs to be super farmed, be really low deaths, be super stable. He can take risks, right? He can push those earlier fights when he's in that secondary carry role, and yet still have that huge game impact that you kind of really that people came to know him for, right? In an earlier era of competitive Deadlock, where Leffa was the best carry player bar none here in North America. I mean, the way they're playing right now, if they can hold on to this could be a real return to form for some of these former Hydration members now, of course, playing under the banner of FPS Lounge.
Now, we are waiting to get an interview with Snakes. I went out my way to talk to FPS Lounge and be like, okay, who do we got for an interview? Originally asked Pure Content. He's like, no, Rokane wants it. And he goes, never mind. Snakes wants it. So we're getting a chance, Jake, to go in depth and, you know, get a little bit of words from the man himself about, okay, they tried to ban you out. They couldn't. You know, how's that feel on top of all the, hey, you just won here in North America. How's it feel?
Yeah, see if we can get him in. If we've got him ready, let's bring him on. Snakes, you're here with us?
I'm here. What's up?
Well, first off, congrats, man. Huge win for you guys. Like, you know, you guys were a very hyped team coming together. And I feel like finally now, you know, kind of the doubters have been silenced. This is a huge win for the team. My first question is just, how are you guys feeling? Like, coming off the win, what were the comms like? What was the feeling like when you felt like you had it in that game 3?
Well, let me start with game 1, because game 1, things didn't go our way, right? You know, we were even a little bit, but it was really, they had control the whole time. We had to rethink our draft. We changed some things up, and let me just say, when we had a 20K lead at game 3, we knew it was over. We knew it was done. The vibes were there. You know what I'm saying? Vibes carried us home.
Well, speaking of vibes and also just energy going into it, game 3, it kind of felt like you had a target on your back in the draft. You know, we noted it, chat noted it, be like, hey, they're just taking all of Snake's heroes. And there were players in the community that, you know, when going for a scouting report, because you're a newer face on the scene than some of the old hats on your team, like Hydration, right? You know, you're newer to the comp scene, and people, a lot of comments around like, yeah, Snakes is a good player, but his hero pool is kind of shallow. And it felt like Floormen took that to heart and went, okay, we're going to test the hero pool. And you just said, nah, I'm just going to play Apollo. It's fine. You know, what were you thinking as the draft went down?
I had it in the bag. Listen, I have over 50 games of Apollo in the last week. You know, last week wasn't my best Apollo game. But can I speak to the haters and the doubters real quick?
Yeah.
Please.
All right, look. We're okay to cuss, okay? Are we?
No, actually.
No, I prefer
All
not.
right, I won't cuss then. Okay.
Okay.
All I got to say is, Fred the Finch, okay?
Okay.
Come play comp
Fred's
so I can
catching
whoop your
space.
butt. All right, boy? Stop tweeting about me. You're a fan. All right? And frick whoever made that Melee Creeps video. That's all I got to say.
All right.
I
have no idea the context here, but that was, I was expecting something about like Melee Creeps or, you know, Ido's internet, but apparently Fred just, again, run down on the interview. But yeah, I mean, look, I think I've asked pretty much all I want to ask. Jake, you got any final questions where we let Snakes go and enjoy the victory?
Yeah, I'm just curious for the team. You know, you guys, you know, came together. You finally have had a real win here in Night Shift, and I'm curious, like, are you guys going to be able to defend this for coming weeks? Like, is this the new reign of terror of the new generation of Hydra Nation, or do you think that's just too difficult to promise in this era with how competitive top end Deadlock is?
Listen, man, it's difficult. We're getting, you know, people are getting analysts. You know, people are metagaming. They're studying every team's VODs. Man, it's hard. Every team right now could win next week. I mean, there's between, especially the big 3, Floormen, us, and Melee Creeps, it's a coin flip, man. It honestly, I can't guarantee anything. It's really intense in NA right now.
All right. Well, Snakes, thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and congratulations again on your first championship here in Night Shift North America. But Jake, we've had ourselves a day of games, all in all.
What a day it's been, man. Great games in EU, but honestly, a slobber knocker here in North America. Awesome to see FPS Lounge really burst onto the scene. And like Snake said, right, it is that big 3 where, man, it has never been more competitive among those top slots. Just a crazy place to be here in competitive Deadlock. The scene is, I think, at an all-time high. We got to check out, of course, who our sidekick of the match was, but ZP, come on. I feel like this one is a gimme. It's Erebus. I didn't need to check the chat. We all knew it. This guy was hooking people left, right, and center. You're going to have to be banning the Bebop now. No one else was playing it before he did.
Yeah, I mean, not only was he the Shopify sidekick of the match, he was the front kick, the back kick, whatever you want to pull it, just kicks all around. You cannot tell the story of this game without giving your flowers to Erebus on the Bebop. Just an unreal performance that helped put FPS Lounge over the top. And you know, luckily, when a Bebop's playing this well, we got plenty of fodder for the highlight reel.
Yeah, come on. He's a highlight machine here, just lighting it up with hook after hook, keeping the enemy guessing. I'm not gonna lie, ZP, I'm about to play Gunbot for like the next 3 days. I have been inspired. This hook alone, I was ready.
That is the actual true reason you cast here. It's not because you've been a caster by trade for many years or anything else like that. You just want to be in the front lines when the new OP stuff hits. But also, that's like half our viewers, probably. So, you know, you're in good company, Jake.
Baby. Yeah. We got the best Deadlock in the world right now, and North America is serving it up on a platter. So, huge performances from Erebus, our Shopify sidekick of the match. Definitely going to be massive from him. I want to give a shout out, though, to our sponsors on this show. Shopify came in here in a huge way, let us double down on the prize pool, bigger prize pool than ever before, bigger stakes for all these players, all the effort and the grind that they've been putting in. It's a great way to start a business online. They got a great set of tools where anyone can do it. You guys support us and support the partnership. Get Shopify to come back and stick around and keep supporting the show by checking it out, guys. It's the link. There's panels below the stream. You can do !Shopify in the chat. And just check it out. See what the product is. See if you're interested. Keep an open mind. It's really easier to use than you might think. Also, we gotta show huge love, of course, to the Patreons, to our whole community who has been with us since day one, right? Even though we have sponsorships coming in, we're able to do a bigger prize pool. The patrons are a huge part of our success. We wouldn't have made it to this point without the community around us.
So I just got word from Shoppy, who just showed up again on the stream, saying it's not over yet. We got to look at the Shopify team play of the day, Jake. And we got to wind back the clock a little bit to Europe to really tell what the team play of the day was, because sometimes you're ahead in a game the way Leviathan was, and Abraham's reminds you that they are the masters of mid-boss pit and flip things back in their favor.
This team historically, I don't know the data on this, but it just feels like they have the craziest, most consistent rejuve contest steals of any team in the world. Like, do not attempt this team has YOLO'd coin flip mid bosses since you were in the womb, man. Like, you do not want to take Abrahams to the mat in the mid boss pit. You need them to be fully team wiped before you go down there, because they will find a way to wipe you, take all the rejuves, and snatch the game back. I mean, the gold graph swing alone on that fight was tremendous. I went from a game where they were losing, like they could just be knocked out in one, to one where they turn it around, they stay alive, and then they go on to win in EU. So that's a huge moment for them on the day. Absolutely massive stuff for them.
All right, I wasn't sure if it broke today. A few things broke behind the scenes, but it looks like we do have our hero priority this week. And, some things were different here, Jake. Not the least of which is that we kind of called it at the beginning of the day, but Mirage and Venator did a little bit of switcheroo on who was in jail more often after some of the changes, but Mirage was still all sorts of effective today.
And wow, Infernus on that 7-pick slot. Infernus is back in a very big way, right? Copying a lot of first bans. I think NA probably prior him a little higher, but he looks amazing when he comes out. I am a big believer. I really think these characters are dominant. Abrams back. I mean, some really old hands are rising back. It's not just these new heroes. Venator and Silver still top tier, but some of the older Deadlock heroes are kind of rising. Even Warden looking respectable on the day.
Yeah, Warden's been in the weird spot where Warden will continually get the 3-pick bans over the course of a day. Will never be up there at 7, but is never fully gone, it feels like, over the last few weeks. A few heroes that have dropped off the face of the earth, or at least had significant drops. Billy's down the 2, where Billy used to be up in the 6-7 range. I didn't even do that intentionally. That is the worst. That is the worst part. I was actually just reading the top of the screen. God, I'm going to pivot from there and just say also F's in the chat for Paige, where Paige used to be a highly valued support pick. And, who knows why? Maybe it's because Puckett played it once. Maybe it's because it's Elizabeth's main character. But either way, Paige has just been down in the doldrums, Jake, where at once she was a mainstay.
We're in the Dynamo era, and ain't nobody complaining. Come on, Dynamo is too much fun to watch. I want this hero to be a mainstay of competitive Deadlock. I just think it's so exciting. It's so much like the PogChamp massive plays. Is even Choppy's getting on the action, ZP. How dare you drag him so low?
True enough. Just wait. Who knows what Shoppy is going to do next? But Jake, it has been one heck of a day here on the night shift. Final words before we send it off.
Just an amazing day. Shout out to everyone watching, whether you're able to sub on Twitch, whether it be a member on YouTube or support us on Patreon. It's huge. But even the folks, who just here every week watching, tell your friends about it, get them here next week. It's a massive way to support. Also, our co-streamers, all the people in the community, helping us to rebroadcast, putting their own spin on the content. Really appreciate everybody. So that's open to everybody, by the way. Anybody wants to co-stream, hey, spin it up. We don't have a whitelist on that bad boy. Just be nice, play nice in the chat. But yeah, just thanks to the community, man. It's the reason we got to this point, and it's awesome to be able to have big nights like this.
And speaking about co-streaming, we're not done yet. This weekend in the Deadlock community, Death Slam Invitational is going on in EU, and we're going to be covering every second of it here on our main channels, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. You know where to find us. We'll be looking at all of it this weekend, even getting a little bit of NA versus EU action. But that is going to wrap things up here for tonight. This is Deadlock Night Shift, and we'll see you next time.